All right, we are live. What is going on, everybody?
What's happening?
Hope everyone is doing well. We will be going over the State of the Union here soon. Well, it depends on how long it takes for them to, of course, find the president. Because what was it? There was just recently where he was doing a press conference where he was like over an hour and a half late. So Lord knows when they'll actually get started.
Well, I think there were some grandkids that made an appearance just a minute ago, so that's a good sign. They're headed in the right direction.
Tell me, was it all of his grandkids, or do you leave out one in particular?
There he goes. There's the Biden shuffle. He's on his way.
How much adrenochrome is he on? We'll turn on the audio when he actually starts speaking and goes live. Sorry, I missed my dinner, so I am chowing down just a little bit here at the same time, so excuse me for that. Delicious. But while we wait for Biden, there's always stuff going on at least, so I actually talk about, because we didn't stream yesterday like we normally do. And I would like to say it's because we had this all planned out in advance. The reality was, I know you were really tired and I was kind of busy, so.
Yeah,
All right, I'll ride this out.
It was a long travel day.
Yeah, I bet. Well, I forgot, were you in Virginia mountains, right?
Yeah, in Virginia mountains, and then stopped by Grandma and Granddad's and had some lunch at Margaret'sville and fixed a little issue in the bathroom for them and went through Taylor's Mill and then came home. So it was a good long day.
You want to come and fix an issue in our bathroom? Like our toilet's having some problems. I'm just saying. It's just like a $15 part I got by, but
it seems my specialty is installing safety rails. So are you at the state where you need those?
Thank goodness no. Well,
you might want to, just in case. You never know.
You never know. Inside joke, everybody. Either way, obviously, while we wait for Biden, and help me keep an eye on when he walks in, because I'm about to pull something up on this end, because might as well talk about something while we wait. Here we are. Let me just expand that out. So, we had Super Tuesday, and what do you know? Nikki Haley won one state. She won Vermont, a state where, of course, Democrats can also vote in the Republican primaries, so that should tell you something there. Oh, and she also won D.C., which I don't know how any candidate wins D.C. and it not hurt them, to be honest. Like, it does you no good to win D.C. But, you know, everything else, obviously, 100% Trump.
I know when she bowed out, that made you particularly happy. But what do you think of bowing out? What do you think of bowing out without any nod to Trump or even any discussion about it?
Kind of reminded me of Ted Cruz, to be honest. That's kind of where I kind of felt, where it was the whole. Again, Ted Cruz had more of a reason not to like Trump than Nikki Haley does. Okay, that's first off, because Trump did attack Ted. Like, he did call Ted Cruz's wife like dog, basically, or a dog face, something like that. So I get why Ted Cruz didn't like Trump. He still should have endorsed him in the end, in my opinion, but I understood that more. With her, it makes her look more petty, though, because at the start of this, everyone raised their hands saying they would support the candidate that the Republicans chose, and she then ridiculed Trump for not signing that same pledge. Well, what's the point of a damn pledge if you're not going to follow through with it yourself? I mean, to me, Trump is far more morally superior to Nikki Haley for not signing the pledge in the first place than she is for signing it and then going, well, I didn't win, so rescinding it, basically. Like, you signed a pledge. Either do it or show yourself as a liar. Your choice. But, I mean, it's funny. Under this shirt, I am wearing my End Endless Wars, like, 10K or 5K or whatever it was. So that's kind of, happy to see she's gone. Don't want to see her again anytime soon.
Well, we should hear at least a few words about those endless wars tonight, I would think.
Oh yeah, we'll see about that and how how much longer it'll go. I'm sure we're getting very close to beating Russia. I'm sure of it. Just like, we were only like a year or two away from ending Iraq, 10 years ago.
Yeah, the protesters are out in force. They put the fences back up around. It's funny when they want to protect themselves, walls really work well, but otherwise the wall doesn't work.
Oh yeah, right? Exactly. Let me try to expand so I can actually still pull up the articles, because the screen share is covering the thing, because there we go. Come on. There we are.
So there's a lot of people sharing an unusual tabulation result from California. Did you happen to see that?
Was that the one that showed like way more Trump voters than normal or something like that? Or like it was more than what the Democrats had in their primary?
It was the Garvey Schiff election, and like Garvey was sitting at 1.8 million, and then it just suddenly drops, and it just drops to half, to 900,000 in real time. And then the same thing happened in Vermont, where it was at 80% and then just miraculously it changed, and Nikki's percentage went up. And so there's a couple of odd things going on. But I know we're not supposed to say that. We'll probably get kicked off of every platform.
Well,
but I didn't verify it, so it could very well all be.
No. What you gotta remember is right before Trump, or right when Trump really started gaining more steam again, it looked like he would be actually the nominee. YouTube and all these social media sites started rescinding the rules, saying that you can't question elections. So, what do you know? I realize my camera is not plugged in and needs to be charged. So yeah, the rules have changed. Now you can question elections, because let's be honest, they're planning on probably Trump winning and them choosing to then question the results of the election. Come on, low battery, I got it. Hopefully that should work there.
Vice President is babbling on about something.
Oh god, low battery over my eyes. Looks like I'm being censored. Yeah, so tell me this: did you actually get a chance to? Because you were out of town. Did you actually get a chance to vote, or did you do any early voting or any of that for the primary, or you just say screw it, Trump's got it anyway, who cares?
I wasn't really planning this trip, and so it was one of the first times in a very long time I did not. I'm ashamed to admit it.
You know, I went in there and I was really
I wanted to support and be with your sister, and so that took precedence.
More than doing a protest vote for DeSantis would have.
I really was looking forward to voting for DeSantis, even though I knew the outcome.
Listen, I was very tempted to make Ramaswamy's 3401. I was very tempted there for a moment, and I went, what do I want more? Do I want Ramaswamy to get one more little percentage vote there, or do I just want to add the Trump's total just to rub it in Nikki Haley's face? Like, I had to choose, and I ended up choosing to, screw it, I'll put Trump.
There was a good handful of states where basically none of the above had over 10% in the Democrat primary, which was interesting.
I saw, technically, Joe Biden lost America Samoa.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Of all places to lose.
God bless the Samoans. I didn't even realize that was that they would lean that way, but good for them.
I hear the kids going to bed. So if you hear screams, you know what's happening. Well, not sure if you heard.
Back to our favorite mug for tonight.
I don't have mine right now with me. I got my Half-Life Black Mesa mug. Well, since we still got a little bit, because they're still just going on and on. Not sure if you saw, I'm pretty sure you didn't see this, but I, as a big nerd and who loves video games, as shown by my Half-Life coffee mug and all my Halo crap and Star Wars crap behind me, was extremely excited when the sound composer for Halo, Marty O'Donnell, is now running for Congress in Nevada as a Republican, and yes, he supports Trump as well. Which has been so funny to see, because even now I started up this stream, I had some Halo music playing for the intro, because guess what? Now all Halo music is Republican music. It is official. So, and with how woke the 343 and Bungie, like the people who are responsible for Halo, with how woke they have gotten, it is so awesome to see the rumors that Marty O'Donnell got kicked out mostly because he was a Republican were probably true. So. It is I
Well, you tried to call me out, but I actually did see that, and
okay.
I thought I shared something through X with you about it, but I guess maybe I didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, you might have to my. So this is the Summit Twitter I have on. That's what I'm mostly on now. I think you might have sent it to my gaming channel one, the Barbecue Barnes one. So, but it is so fantastic. I love the fact he's running. Like he is. I I'll listen to Halo music just to listen to it. I think it's some of the most well-made music, just in whether you talk about movies, television shows, games, whatever. He's top tier composer for sure. I'm not sure if you'll put him near like John Williams status, but in the video game world, he's John Williams status, right? You know, what John Williams is to cinema, Marty O'Donnell is to video games. So seeing him actually now running as a Trump supporting Republican in Nevada and in a district where Republicans nearly won last time around, they only lost by about 4 points. So not a lot. He's actually running as a Republican. Even Elon Musk, you know, of course, went ahead and made a retweeted one of his tweets supporting him as well, which Elon being a big Halo nerd as well really helps out there. So with Elon also sharing it, I won't be surprised if he gets a lot of donations. It can actually put up a real fight in that area, even if it is just one Congress seat. It's awesome. This is what we need culturally. We need cultural figures, and in the nerd world, Marty O'Donnell is one of the like high levels of cultural figures. This is what we need to start happening, is cultural figures starting to come to the right, or at least coming out of the closet in a way for the right, and actually starting to stand up and do something, because this is how we win culture back. I mean, the amount of people, it's funny watching the leftists freak out over, oh my God, my favorite composer likes Trump, and then not knowing how to deal with it, when this is the crap we deal with on a daily basis with almost every media we ever like watch or listen to. It's always funny seeing the shoe on the other foot and just see how they cannot not handle it. So
Always funny. Always funny. Both times that has happened, it's always been funny because it doesn't happen a lot.
I know, right? It happens in the music world a decent amount. I remember when the lead singer for All That Remains, metal band from the 2000s, when he started being a reoccurring member on Timcast, a lot of people started kind of getting a little upset. But the metal community is already kind of more Republican than Democrat, so it didn't make as much waves as I think it would in other instances, but it was still interesting to see. But even the guys from the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, one of the guys from Smash Mouth, and I forget and I think it was I can't think of the other band at the top of my head, but like 3 different like band members all kind of got together and started a punk rock band, and they all got together because they were upset at the vaccine restrictions, and some of them were actually kicked out of their original bands, and so they formed a kind of their own kind of like little punk rock group, like kind of super group almost, with all these big names. And the left was not happy about that, which was kind of funny to see. I think one of their first album songs was "We Sell Drugs," and it was a song about, of course, Big Pharma.
It's kind of funny just to see the supposed counterculture people just so blindly following the government and corporations and the people who say they resist to just comply. It's really
What was it?
interesting to watch.
Rage Against the Machines is now basically rage on behalf of machines, is what, or
Yeah.
behalf of the machine is basically what it is. Obviously Green Day, like a lot of their songs were very anti-government, except now they literally changed up their lyrics to now be anti-MAGA. I mean, that's like propaganda 101 too, where you sit there and go back and start changing up things like that to fit the current narrative of the time. Like that's some 1984 crap right there. But what it was is they realized that their lyrics to American Idiot now fits perfectly with the Democrat Party, more so than it does the current like style of Republican Party. That's the reality.
So I've got the big screen. I've got the news on. I won't say which channel I'm supporting. You can probably guess. But Rush used to say that Congress was like a Hollywood for ugly people because it's where you can go and get semi-famous, but you can still be ugly. And when they keep panning Congress, it's like, oh boy, Rush as always was right. But it's kind of funny. You see George Santos popping up in there. Thinking about celebrities from the right coming out of the closet, like you said a while ago.
That's just mean. Now,
how about our just horrible far right just MAGA Supreme Court 9-0 decision?
9-0 that Trump can still run. Yep, there. 9-0, yeah. That is nuts. I really did not expect that. I thought for sure, like, Kanjit Jackson, whoever the heck her name is, and Sotomayor were going to be on the opposition of some way, but
there was no way.
Speaking
that case was so cut and dry. There was no way.
It doesn't.
There was no legal standing whatsoever.
Kyle Rittenhouse was cut and dry, and they still tried to sit there and charge him for murder. I mean, even after the prosecution literally had AI evidence put forward that was false evidence, they still kept the trial going on. I mean, at this point, I don't put anything past them. I really don't. Oh, speaking of in the closet.
Speaking of Forever War.
I do like that.
It was kind of bizarre a while ago. Dennis Kucinich was on TV, and the things he was saying, I was like, man, I'm agreeing with Kucinich. I don't know what's going on. These kind of things keep happening more and more. It seems like the people that used to be far right, far left, are seeming more and more right. Oh, not like correct, but to the right.
Yeah. What is strange, because like the whole political dynamic is really weird, where in a way, where the Republicans are now is what we would have called middle ground 20 years ago. And yet now we're considered far right. It's really strange on how all that's been working.
We talk about it all the time. Elon is not far right, no matter what they say.
No, he leans more to.
Tim Pool is nowhere near far right. Joe Rogan is nowhere near far right. These are all lefties who have just had the left run completely away from them.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, speaking of Elon, I mean, he's practically a socialist. I mean, really. Now, admittedly, he's probably more of a older style socialist, more on the Robert Hyland prior to him becoming more of a traditional liberal type socialist, but still, he leans more to socialism than he does anything else. And yet he's still considered far right.
Okay, this is just something aesthetic, but the refraction of the light that keeps showing in there with, I guess they're using some good form of chip cameras that are making that effect, but it looks pretty cool. Every now and again, when they go to the widescreen, you get that refraction, and I kind of dig it.
Yep, there's Ukraine pin. I was just about to ask, when are we going to see our Ukraine pins?
Well, Ukraine needs that money a lot more than West Virginia.
Hey, wait a second. I swear someone was wearing like a ring pop or something. Look at that. Look, what the heck is that? It looks like one of those like ring pops you would get like, the vending machines or whatever. Ugh.
Indistinct chatter.
That's gonna be the subtitle of the entire speech. Just heads up.
Indistinct mumbling. He'll be drugged up enough that he'll get this one, and it'll be just good enough that everybody can say.
How long can you drug him up before the drugs no longer work? Like, we see him drop off. It's funny because during his last State of the Union, he started off strong for him, and I mean, my 3-year-old child speaking would be strong for him, but but he started off semi-strong, and as it went on towards the end is when he started saying, we're gonna bomb Libya, and it was like, no, he meant like he meant Russia, but he started getting his countries confused while talking about the countries we're gonna go to war with, basically. Like it got bad towards the end, and so obviously, speaking of people who are near death, I swear, just every time I start talking about this stuff. But
there's the number of brain cells in that picture is so low, it's astounding.
Yeah, if you rub both of them together, you might create like some kind of spark, I guess, but
Maisie's one of the dumbest humans on earth.
Man, I love the I love the Bernie Sanders defender still. Well, at least he's honest and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, Hitler was honest. I still wouldn't be praising him. Like, you're talking about a dude who went and honeymooned in the Soviet Union and talked about how great bread lines in, communist Russia were. Do you really think he's that good of a guy? I mean, oh, well, he marched for civil rights. Okay, well, I'm pretty sure I can find some. Hitler loved dogs. Are we going to sit there and talk about how great Hitler's love of dogs are? No. Okay, yeah, okay. People could do some good, but still be terrible people. That's another thing. Bernie Sanders, not a socialist. He is a communist. He believes in communism. If he just doesn't think we can get there so quickly is all.
I'm going to ask you once again. I need my big coat on to do the meme sitting here in the chair.
The what?
The Bernie meme.
Oh.
With him sitting with his winter
just
thing on.
Man. Oh, hey, look, it's what's his name? I'll let y'all decide what I'm talking about.
Wait, one of those wasn't a man or a woman? I hope he's wearing his diaper.
Man, he is out. Now, admittedly, if I was in Congress, I'm dead serious. I'm pretty sure I would intentionally try to fall asleep during the State of the Union. I mean, what's the point? Like, I get it. Like, if it's your side doing it, fantastic. But when it's not your side doing it, is there much of a point? Because they're campaign speeches, is what they really are.
Hey, that's one way. Forget the Ukraine pin. Just wear a Ukraine dress. That was pretty good. You got the yellow and the blue just going right on.
So wait, what's your opinion on the State of the Union? Is it something that we should do, or is it something that we better off if we just didn't have?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm the rhino, supposedly, according to the chatter we get on our videos. But I kind of like the pomp and circumstance and the tradition of the president coming in.
I think Ben Shapiro always talks about how much he can't stand it and how terrible it is and all stuff. I'm kind of with you, more on the side of I feel like the president is allowed to use. It's kind of like in boxing, right? You gotta knock out the champ, right? So the champ is always gonna have some inherent advantage. The president has the advantage of the State of the Union every election cycle, that he can sit there and go up and praise himself and what the executive branch does. Now, I do wish we were kind of like Canada in the sense of where when the prime minister speaks, then all of them just get to yell at him and tell him how like terrible he is right afterwards. And I wish we could do some of that. That would be a lot of fun. But
well, the worst part of it now is it's just a scripted production. So they already know what the applause lines are. They know when they're going to stand and when they're not going to stand.
Okay, real quick. I wanted to check on this beforehand. There was someone in the audience there who was wearing like a Nazi symbol, and I just went and checked to make sure. It wasn't too long ago. It was right about there. Right there. That looks. I'm gonna pull this up right here. That is the Black Sun. Look at that. That is very. What is that? It's a little different, I guess, but it looks somewhat similar, right?
It does from here.
I mean, I guess it's not technically. It looks like it's a little bit different. It doesn't have a circle, but I was really confused seeing that.
I don't know. With my glasses on, it looks even more like it.
Like the way the crosses are in here is different, but and I guess it's some Native American thing, I'm going to guess, with this and all that, but it looks remarkably similar.
Yeah, good luck if it was Trump wearing it, right?
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, well, don't forget, they had their stage in such a way one time where it somewhat looked like a symbol of Germany as well, so. Hey, it's his sister, Jill Biden.
You mean the babysitter?
What hasn't he called her at this point?
No, she was literally the
I know, yeah.
family.
I guess it's not as weird as what France has right now, where like, was it their prime minister is married to the person who basically groomed them when he was like 13 years old or something. Like, she was like his babysitter when she's like 20 or so years older than him, I think.
Hey, that was Buttigieg. I didn't know they let him out of his cage or wherever they hide him all the time. It's amazing he's getting a public appearance.
Wait, he's not still on paternity leave after all that effort him and his husband put in?
He's definitely not in Palestine, Ohio.
I gotta say, why is there a town called East Palestine in America? Like, I get that Palestine had a different, Romans called Israel Palestine. Like, so I get that it hasn't always been referred to as this, but it's still just weird, isn't it?
Yeah. There's Paris, Texas. There's Rome in a lot
That's a
of
good
states.
point. How many Athens are there? I mean, and we opened up an office over in Carthage. To be honest, though, with how little there was around that area, I think that land was already salted. But
there's some good antique stores in that area.
There was actually a lot of antique stores there.
I know. Before you even knew anything about Carthage, I used to go shop there for your grandma and granddad.
All I know is one of our people waving on the side of the road. I drove by, and they were in that get-up, just waving, and then just taking a drag from a cigarette on the side of the road. I was like, what is happening here? What are y'all doing? Yeah, there was some weird stories out that way. We had the store get shot up over in Fayetteville. Had to shut down.
Do you remember what road that store was on?
I don't. If you drove me down to that area and I could get there if we were in Fayetteville, but I just remember it was like one of those roads that led straight to the mall, and there's a McDonald's on the right of that road. So like if you were driving that circle around the mall and found the McDonald's and turned in before that, that would be the road that we had our stuff on. And just look for the barbershop there, if it's still there. I mean, it was always packed, so I assume it's still there.
Barbershop and the tobacco store.
Yeah, perfect place for a tax office.
Can't remember what street it's on. It wasn't Skiwo. It was off of that one, but I just couldn't remember. I saw one on Cliffdale the other day. That wasn't the right one.
Well, a tobacco shop or a Liberty?
No, a tax store.
Yeah, that Fayetteville area was always interesting for sure. Man, they say it was supposed to start at 9?
Yeah, when's the last time Biden did anything on time?
I know. So
Trump would start at 9, but he might not finish till 1 because he's gonna sit there and just ramble.
I'm trying to think of a joke about a movie theater, but I can't think of one on the top of my head.
Well, I know somebody that could give you a hand with that.
Okay, there you go. That worked.
You tee them up, I'll knock them out.
I have to say, don't get me wrong. I like the way she votes, but man, she does some weird stuff. She
got knocked out yesterday, right? In the new district, the redistricting.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Oh no, I know. Like a lot of people are heavy fans of her, but I really do think that's mostly just because she's attractive. Like, she signs onto the right bills and does the right things for the most part. So I'm not going to complain at all. But I don't know. Like, it's hard to say I'm here for traditional values and then post a picture of yourself like massaging your feet with like your butt showing for everyone, basically. It's just showing all, tons of your leg. I don't know. It just seems like she's not actually what she says she is. It's just that it gets her what she needs, kind of deal. At least I can say Marjorie Taylor Greene is. I do think she's at least sincere.
So the other channels are showing Biden coming through. The mask looks especially taut tonight.
Oh, great! Still wearing a mask, huh?
No. I mean, the.
Oh no! You mean the? Oh yeah, here it goes. I'll wait to turn on the sound until you actually start scanning up there, because I just don't want to hear the screams of people. So, I mean, at this point in time, is there any reason why Republicans should even play the game of applauding or any of that stuff when he's entering or any of this? Shouldn't they just say, screw it, you're a corrupt, I'm just going to say it, you're a corrupt bastard, we don't care. Like, just sit down, practically don't even acknowledge his existence. Like, I don't know. I feel like Democrats are better at that sort of stuff. They did full-on protest against Trump during his State of the Union addresses, and the Republicans still just kind of get up and play the part going, yay, President Biden, so happy to have you here finally. It's, I don't know. Seems kind of embarrassing. If he was actually like a honorable man who we disagreed with, sure, but come on. Like he's in the middle of trying to prosecute his political rivals that are on your side. Just stop with the theater.
Well, I don't know. I still think there's certain rules of decorum that should be stuck by, but the other side doesn't stick by them. I don't know that two rights make a wrong, but I would have a hard time. I would have a hard time showing deference to.
Like
dope.
I understand. To me, decorum would be just simply not acting out of line. Well, I feel like the applause are more showmanship. Like to have proper decorum to me would be if they just kind of stood up, very proper and just respected him as he entered, as in just respecting the office, not the man. But you don't need to cheer, you don't need to applaud, you don't need any of that. Technically, the State of the Union is supposed to be him addressing, all of Congress. But I don't know, now maybe Ben Shapiro does have a little bit right when he says now it's like Congress just praising the president in a way.
Yeah, it's a big campaign ad, scripted, because like I said earlier, it's all scripted nowadays.
Did you see Marjorie Taylor Greene there?
And do you see the face that's on her shirt?
Trump 2020.
No.
Oh, that's great.
On her shirt is Lake and Riley.
Again,
whose name still hasn't been spoken from any official office of the White House.
Exactly. Again,
did you see the killer's brother has now been linked to gangs?
Oh, really?
Yes, they say her name is what's on her shirt.
Did you see after MSNBC was making fun of, Virginians, having their major issue being immigration, right outside, was it Pasinki is how to say your name?
Jen Psaki.
Psaki, that's right. Like 30 minutes away from her house, like a 2-year-old was killed by an illegal immigrant. Like a 2-year-old and his mother were shot by an illegal immigrant.
I'm sure she'll circle back and get it right.
Here's the thing. She was a much better press secretary than, again, I can't think of her name at all. I can never pronounce it right either.
Karine
Jean-Pierre. Yeah. Yeah, she's terrible at her job. At least Psaki, at least she was, she did the job is the thing. All Pierre does is simply say, oh, talk to this group, talk to this person, talk to this person. Like
yeah, I think the other difference is, most press secretaries, even when they're going at it with a reporter, they don't show their frustration on their face quite as bad as she does.
Oh, she has disdain.
Yeah.
She had disdain for her own people. She walks out with that face. It's just, she has sheer disdain for her job, which, I mean, if I was having to find excuses for Biden, I would too, but I feel like I could BS better than her. I mean,
I've seen you do it.
Yeah, right. I mean, I've had to do it for a couple politicians who I don't like.
This is the part that just bugs me. All of this is nothing but pure theater. It has nothing to do with anything. Just let the man get up there and let's get this over with.
I know. Again, I wish it could be like a more combative moment that kind of like the parliaments in Europe and Canada have, where they just yell back and forth at one another. At least that would be a bit more interesting.
Looks like Mittens gets a prime seat.
Mittens, I don't know this one.
Pierre Delecto, you remember that name?
I don't think I do.
That was Mitt Romney's fake name he was using on social media.
Okay, now I remember. Man. what happened? Like, I know like he probably was always like that to a certain degree, but he always could hide it better back then. Like when he was running against Obama, again, not he wouldn't have made a great president, but he came across fairly well. And now he just comes across like a psychopath.
You could really say this about any election, I guess, but it really would be interesting to see an alternate history where he won that election just to see what the difference would have been.
I think long term would have been worse. And not because he would have done a bad job, but I really think it was the 4 more years of Obama that obviously gave us Trump. And Trump broke the left. Like, despite, again, I don't think Trump is the greatest president ever or anything like that. But he did break the left. Like, he did more damage to the Democrats than any Republican ever, I think. Because, let's face it, even when Ronald Reagan got out of office, it didn't last long when it came to, Democrats got their act together pretty quickly afterwards. Trump, they still have not got their act together. In fact, they've gotten even worse. And I think it's really starting to show.
I don't know that I agree. We cannot develop a red wave when every indicator is that there should be a red wave. Trump still drags because he has just as much of a pull for his detractors as he does for his ardent supporters.
True.
So that makes their side come out stronger than it otherwise would. And we lose down ballot races because of that, because there's not as much energy outside of people coming to vote for Trump. You get more Trump ballots that have no votes down ballot than you would for others. I don't think they're broken at all. Now, when you what's going to break them is from within. The
Palestine issue and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's gone so far left that it's no way that's and we're starting to see some of the breaks there, whether it's in school boards or wherever. But they're self-destructing, and Trump did push that along. I'll give him that. But man, I just don't know about whether. I mean, obviously, things were much better under Trump than they have been under Biden. We weren't at war. We had no inflation, but there's still there's still a lot I don't like about him. And I
agree.
I know that makes people not like me on the show here, but if I don't know that I can get. I'll vote for him, but I don't think I'll get beyond the vaccine and first step and all these other things that he did that I just think have turned out to be bad things.
So I don't mind the First Step Act as much. I think there was definitely some merit to it. It's just it was yeah. It didn't work for pandering either,
and it didn't help. It didn't solve the problem.
No, well,
because there is a problem of. It's so weird because it's a dichotomy. We have the problem of nobody getting charged with anything, but then you've also got the problem of when somebody is charged, they're overcharged, and it does affect minority groups more. And there wasn't it. So in a way, it didn't fix the structural problem. It was just a pandering effort for a few big names got out. It made Beyonce and a couple of folks happy over some of the big names, but where have you heard much about it since?
So here's the thing. I remember when I was doing door knocking, though, I did go into some black communities that were talking about the First Step Act and actually did talk about how they love Trump because of it. So I have directly heard from people who were very, very happy with it. How long does that... Now, here's the thing. I don't know how far they were on it beforehand is the only problem, right? They might have already leaned right before that even happened. Well, let's go ahead, I guess, turn it on and see what BS he spouts this time, and see if his teeth stay in his mouth this time too, because I think they start falling out about towards the end. Oh, let's see also if he wants us to bomb Libya again. That'll be interesting.
We're not allowed to make fun of him though, because he has a stutter.
Good evening.
Should I just turn off the captions since no one's gonna be able to understand what the captions are anyway?
Good evening. If I were smart, I'd go home now.
Such a weird opening line. Oh.
Mr. Speaker, Madam Vice President, members of Congress, my fellow Americans, in January 1941,
You got Screamy Joe right off the bat.
Franklin
I like
Roosevelt came to this chamber to speak to the nation, and he said, I address you at a moment unprecedented in the history of the Union.
One tyrant to another. FDR to Biden.
Raging in Europe. President Roosevelt's purpose was to wake up Congress and alert the American people that this was no ordinary time. Freedom and democracy were under assault in the world. Tonight, I come to this same chamber to address the nation. Now, it's we who face an unprecedented moment in the history of the Union. And yes, my purpose tonight is to wake up the Congress and alert the American people that this is no ordinary moment either.
He's already starting to slur. Not a good
since
sign.
President Lincoln and the Civil War have freedom and democracy been under assault at home as they are today. What makes our moment rare is that freedom and democracy are
It
under
take long to
attack
get
both
waist
at
deep in the
home
BS.
and
I know.
overseas at the very same time. Overseas, Putin
It's
of Russia
astounding
is
how
on the
much he looks
march,
like Jeff Dunham's puppet.
invading Ukraine and sowing chaos throughout Europe and beyond.
He really
If
does.
anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not.
The evil squint he's got there.
But Ukraine,
Put on the tough guy act.
Ukraine can stop Putin.
Madam Vice President, it's the same Venn diagram.
Ukraine can stop Putin if we stand
got
with
excited.
Ukraine and provide the weapons that it needs to defend itself. That is all. That is all Ukraine is asking. They're not asking for American soldiers. In fact, there are no American soldiers.
Actually, they
in
are.
Ukraine, and I'm determined to keep it that way. But now, assistance to Ukraine is being blocked by those who want to walk away from our world leadership. It wasn't long ago when a Republican president named Ronald Reagan thundered, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall."
Well, when Putin starts trying to put
They
missiles
didn't
in
do it with our
Cuba,
equipment.
yeah, it's true. When Putin starts trying to place missiles in Central America, then maybe I'll be concerned.
A former Republican president tells Putin, quote, "Do whatever the hell you want." That's a quote. A former president actually
Out of
said
context
that,
quote, you dipshit.
bowing
Yeah.
down to a Russian leader. I think it's outrageous, it's dangerous, and it's unacceptable.
Good, don't clap. Okay, good.
America is a founding member of NATO.
Ukraine's not in
Military
NATO.
Alliance of democratic nations, created after World War II
Yeah.
to prevent war and keep the peace. And today, we've made NATO stronger than ever. We welcomed Finland to the alliance last year. And just this morning,
I hear
Sweden
Finnish in the
officially
snow.
joined, and their minister is here tonight. Come here, stand up.
Wow, he really does look like he would be from Finland, too.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. And they know how to fight. Mr. Prime Minister, welcome to NATO, the strongest military alliance the world has ever seen. I say this to Congress, we have to stand up to Putin. Send me a bipartisan national security bill. History is literally watching. History is watching. If the United States walks away, it will put Ukraine at risk. Europe is at risk. The free world will be at risk, emboldening others to do what
Was
they
he about to do like a Dr.
do us
Evil thing
harm.
there?
My message to President Putin, who I've known for a long time, is simple. We will not walk away.
World War III. World War III.
We're 31 minutes from the proposed start time, and there's not one thing about the state of our union.
No, it's all about Ukraine and... Well, he talked about Trump for a minute there. I mean...
In a literal sense, history is watching. History is watching. Just like history watched 3 years ago on January 6th. When insurrectionists stormed this very Capitol and placed a dagger to thwart American democracy. Many of you are here on that darkest of days.
Darkest
We
of days.
saw with our own eyes the insurrectionists were not patriots. They come to stop the people.
Where all 0 people were murdered, you know. Well, sorry, one. Ashley Babbitt.
The 2020 election and the plots to steal the election posed a gravest threat to U.S. democracy.
A gravest threat.
But they failed. America stood.
We stood against a group of old people with no weapons whatsoever, staying inside the ropes as they took pictures in the Capitol.
Democracy prevailed.
And they sit in solitary confinement to this day.
The threat to democracy must be defended. My predecessor and some of you here seek to bury the truth about January 6th. I will not do that. This is the moment to speak the truth and to bury the lies. Here's the simple truth. You can't love your country only when you
I knew
win.
this was going to be bad, but this is horrid.
I thought he would say a bunch of things that everyone kind of has to clap about, and then jump to the January 6th crap. He's leading with it. What the hell else is he going to say?
As I've done ever since being elected to office, I ask all of you without regard to party to join together and defend democracy. Remember your oath of office of defending us
How about
all
defend
threats,
your own damn border,
foreign
you fool?
and domestic. Respect.
Defend democracy by outlawing people to vote for the candidate they want to.
And make clear political violence.
Yeah, we're going to save
absolutely
democracy
no
by
place,
getting
no
rid of the
place in
Electoral
America,
College,
zero
by
place.
packing the Supreme Court, by not allowing people to vote for the candidate of their choice.
Again,
Sounds a lot like Ukraine does.
it's not hyperbole to suggest history is
We need
watching.
somebody from another country to come over here and bribe him really hard so that he'll back away.
Children will read about this day and what we do. History is watching another assault on freedom.
Well, I mean, they did. It's
The light
China.
of
Don't
Victoria
forget.
Beasley, a social worker from Birmingham, Alabama. 14 months ago, she and her husband welcomed a baby girl thanks to the miracle of IVF. She scheduled treatments to have that second child. But the Alabama Supreme Court shut down IVF treatments across the state, unleashed by a Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade. She was told her dream would have to wait.
It's called federalism.
Family
Move to a
adoption
different
should
state.
Never have happened unless Congress acts. It could happen again. So tonight, let's stand up for families like hers. To my friends across the aisle, don't keep this waiting any longer.
I mean, I'm on the fence about IVF overall, to be honest. With the more I learn about it, I still think I lean okay for it, but I'm on the fence about it. Just move to a different state. I mean, come on. It's not that hard.
I'm pro. I'm pro just because we've had family members that
Yeah.
totally investigating that. So
Well, the purpose is to create life, not to end it. Maybe there could be some reforms. Maybe. But again, just don't live in the state. That's all you got to do.
now
Purpose
he's
of our
praising Madam
union.
Vice President. Maybe we could talk about the meaning of the passage of time real quick here.
He's the reason it was overturned, and he brags about it.
Whoop, whoop.
Look at the chaos that has resulted. Joining us tonight is
The
Kate
chaos of following the
Cox,
Constitution.
the wife and mother from Dallas. She's become pregnant again and had a fetus of a fatal condition. Her doctor told Kate,
Which
that
is
her
an
own
exception
life
in
and her
every
ability to
single
have
state.
Children in the future were at risk if she didn't act. Because Texas law banned her ability to act, Kate and her husband had to leave the state to get what she needed. What her family got through should have never happened as well, but it's happening in too many others.
There's an exception
There are
for
state
life of the
laws
mother
banning
in
freedom to
Texas.
choose,
Just point that out there.
criminalizing doctors, forcing survivors of rape and incest to leave their states to get the treatment they need. Many of you in this chamber and my predecessor are promising to pass a national ban on reproductive freedom. My God, what freedom else would you take away? Look, it's a decision to
Next thing you know, you'll be
overturn Roe v.
taking
Wade
away our
Supreme
right to
Court
own
majority ruling
guns.
the
Oh, wait,
following.
that's us.
And with all due respect, justices, women are not without electoral power.
Yeah, one that's actually in the
electoral or
Constitution and a
political
part
power.
of the federal government responsibility.
Exactly.
How much you were right about that.
I like that. Yeah, women have all this electoral power. Yeah. That's that might be kind of the problem. I don't know.
Those bragging about overturning Roe v. Wade have no clue about the power of women. But they found out when reproductive freedom was on the ballot. We won in 2022 and 2020, and we'll win again in 2024.
See, all the Republicans should look like the Supreme Court justices throughout the entirety of this.
Well, so far they have. Johnson's not made too many facial expressions.
He's clapped a couple times when he shouldn't have.
I'll restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land again.
Oh, you will. So why haven't you already done so?
Because he hasn't stacked the courts in his favor yet. He led off with FTR, don't you know?
I'm here tonight to show what I believe is the way forward.
This is true.
Because I know how far we come. 4 years ago next week, before I came to office, the country was hit by the worst pandemic and the worst economic crisis in a century.
And more people died under my leadership than Trump's, even though I had a vaccine that totally worked.
It took more than 1 million American lives of loved ones, millions left behind. A mental health crisis of isolation and loneliness.
Proud pureblood sitting here, baby.
A president, my predecessor, failed the most basic presidential duty that he owes to American people, the duty to care. I think that's unforgivable.
Good, someone said liar.
I came to office determined to get us through one of the toughest periods in the nation's history. We have. It doesn't make news in 1,000 cities and towns. The American people are writing the greatest comeback story never told.
My grocery bill says otherwise, Joe.
So let's tell the story here. Tell it here and now. America's comeback is building the future of American possibilities, building an economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down, investing in all America, in all Americans, to make sure everyone has a fair shot, and we leave no one behind. The pandemic no longer controls our lives.
There's one group we can leave behind.
Vaccines that saved
the deplorables, of course,
are now being used to beat cancer, turning setback into comeback. That's what America does.
Wait, what about cancer?
That's what America does.
He promised to cure it when he was running in 20, so.
Folks, my inherited economy is on the brink. Now our economy is literally the envy of the world. 15 million new jobs in just 3 years. A record. A record. Unemployment.
Well, you're making it against the law to work, then yeah, they're going to all come back pretty quickly once you rescind that.
A record 16 million Americans are starting small businesses, and each one is a literal...
No, they're reopening their damn businesses is what they're doing.
Historic job growth and small business growth for Black and Hispanics and Asian Americans. 800,000 new manufacturing jobs in America and counting.
Yep, here we go. Let's go back to the race pandering.
Where is it written we can't be the manufacturing capital of the world? We are, we will.
We can't be the manufacturing capital in the world with all the unions as well as just worker laws that we have on the books as it is.
The racial wealth gap is as small as it's been in 20 years. Wages keep going up. Inflation keeps coming down. Inflation has dropped from 9% to 3%, the lowest in the world, and trending lower.
Mind you, there's a lot of things they don't calculate when they calculate inflation. A lot of your groceries are not calculated in the inflation numbers at all.
Now, instead of importing foreign products and exporting American jobs, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs.
So I'm really thankful that inflation now has come down to where it's only double what it was under Trump.
And again, that's not counting the things they leave off the inflation reports.
I'm sure he's going to tell us that the American family is now spending $11,400 more every single year on necessary things. I'm sure that's going to come up real soon.
No, he'll say they're spending $11,000 more a year because they're so confident in our economy.
Not anymore.
So we've blamed Republicans for the lockdowns. We've taken credit for businesses reopening that were forced to shut down.
Will be made with American products,
and none of this will ever get fact-checked except by people like us.
Yes.
Creating good-paying American jobs.
Well, I don't know. When it gets shared on X, there's the fact checkers on there that do a pretty good job.
And thank thanks to our CHIPS and Science Act, the United States is investing more in research and development than ever before. During the pandemic, a shortage of semiconductors, chips, that drove up the price of everything from cell phones to automobiles.
Yeah, because everyone bought more computer stuff because they were working from home. That was a natural thing to happen.
Well, instead of having to import them,
I bought a crap ton of new computer stuff.
private companies are now investing
Yeah,
in billions
that really
of
helped me
dollars.
based on
you-
what's underneath my feet here with this new computer. So
Tens of thousands of
thank you,
jobs.
Joe Biden.
Many of those
Hey, that
jobs paying
GPU you had was like
$100,000
double the
a year
price when I
don't
bought
require a
it.
college degree. In fact, my policies have attracted $650 billion in private sector investment.
You know, he's not wrong on this. His policies have also attracted millions upon millions of immigrants to this country. I mean, truly, we must be really doing well.
And thanks,
Many from Eastern Europe, believe it or not.
thanks to our
That's still
bipartisan
insane.
infrastructure law, 46,000 new projects have been announced all across your communities. And by the way, I noticed some of you strongly voted against it, or they're cheering on that money coming in. I like it.
He looks like a gay Mr. Rogers. Like,
If any of you don't want that money in your district, just let me know. Modernizing our roads and bridges, ports and airports, public transit systems. Removing poisonous lead pipes so every child can drink clean water without risk of brain damage.
as long as you don't live in East Palestine, clean water.
Providing affordable high-speed internet for every American, no matter where you live.
Oh,
urban,
man.
Suburban or rural communities in red states
All of
and
these
blue
things,
states.
I mean,
Record
they come
investments in
chapter and
tribal
verse straight
communities.
out of the Constitution as a
Because of
federal
my investment in the
responsibility.
family farm.
The dumbass laundry list of work that we're
All-
going through at this point.
All state issues. All should be state issues.
We're better able to stay in the family for those farms and their children and grandchildren won't have to leave
Wait, say that again?
home to make a living. It's transformative.
Yes, what?
The great comeback story is Belvedere, Illinois, home to an auto plant for nearly 60 years.
Oh, it's gonna
Before
get
I
nice
came
and
to
somber
office,
here
the
now.
plant was on its way to shutting down.
Is this the one
Thousands of
Tommy Boy
workers
saved?
feared for their livelihoods. Hope was fading. Then I was elected to office, and we raised the Belvedere repeatedly with auto companies, knowing unions would make all the difference. The UAW worked like hell to keep the plant open and get these jobs back, and together we succeeded. Instead of auto factories shutting down, auto factories reopening, and new state-of-the-art battery factories being built to power those cars there at the same.
Oh yeah, get some more electric cars out there. Except for Tesla. You know, we can't like Tesla.
Folks, the folks of Belvedere, I say, instead of your town being left behind, your community is moving forward again. Because instead of watching auto jobs of the future go overseas, 4,000 union jobs with higher wages are building the future in Belvedere right here in America.
Well, that supporter on the far right there, that's the epitome of Biden supporters right there.
Is UAW President Shawn Fain, a great friend and a great labor leader. Shawn, where are you?
Later.
And Dawn Sims, a third-generation worker, UAW worker at Belvedere. Shawn, I was proud to be the first president to stand on the picket line, and today, Dawn has a good
Wait,
job
what?
in her hometown, providing stability for her family.
Someone needs to
and
fact check
pride in
that.
the community as well.
No,
Showing once again,
he was
Wall
out there
Street
with him
didn't
for
build America. They're not bad
brief
guys.
moment.
They didn't build it, though. The middle class built the country, and unions built the middle class.
Oh, I thought he was talking about the first picket line. You know, I mean, he's that old after all. Talk about having decorum, and that woman's there with her pink blazer and a t-shirt.
When America gets knocked down,
This is
we
the
get
most
back
leftist
up.
State of the Union speech
We
in my
keep
lifetime.
going.
It's
I
not
might
even
have-
close.
That's America.
We've gone from Clinton saying the end of big government, the era of big government is over, to
That's you, the
this,
American
which is
people.
nothing nothing but big government, big
Because of
government,
you,
big
America's
government,
coming
cradle
back.
to
It's
grave,
because of you
cradle
our
to
future is
grave.
brighter. It's because
This
of
is
you.
this is horrid.
And
It's
tonight,
awful.
We can proudly say the state of our union is strong and getting stronger.
Yeah. Doing real great over here. Here's the, at least when FDR was saying all of his leftist crap, he was basically a fascist at heart. He at least pretended to like America, at the very least. 4 more years. He won't be around in 4 more years. Are you kidding me?
I want to talk about the future of possibilities.
Republicans should start chanting like 3 more or something just to
A
joke
future
around.
where the days of trickle-down economics are over.
3 more months.
And the
3 more
world's
months.
biggest corporations no longer get all the tax breaks. And by the way, I understand corporations. I come from a state that has more corporations invested than every
Yeah, how
one
dare
of
they
the
get
states in
tax
the
breaks
state,
when
not
we already
just
have the highest
combined.
corporate tax rate in the
And
world,
I represented
basically.
for 36 years. I'm not anti-corporation, but I grew up in a home where trickle-down economics didn't put much on my dad's kitchen table. That's why I determined
Bidenomics is taking away so
faster
much
as
from our
well.
kitchen table,
When they
man.
do well, the poor go way up, and the wealthy still do very well. We all do well. And there's more to do to make sure you're feeling the benefits of all we're doing. Americans pay more for prescription drugs than anywhere in the world. It's wrong, and
Yeah, because the
I'm
government's
ending it.
heavily involved and has allowed monopolies to exist that are government protected. Free up the free market and you'll get lower cost than drugs. Stop having all the corruption involving stuff like the FDA.
What I proposed and signed, not one of you Republican buddies voted for it. We finally beat Big Pharma. Instead of paying $400 a month or thereabouts for insulin with diabetes, and it only costs $10 to make, they only get paid $35 a month now and still make a healthy profit.
It's amazing. He canceled Trump's plan that did the same thing.
Actually, Trump's plan brought it even lower than what his plan brought it to.
Cost of insulin $35 a month for every American who needs it. Everyone.
How about again, you just free up the free market so other people can create that product, and then that way it will reduce the prices
We
naturally.
got it done and gave Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices on prescription drugs.
All that
Just
insulin I
like
bought
the
for
VA is
Roxy.
able to
I
do
wish
for
we
veterans.
I could have used this a
Just
decade
saving
ago.
seniors money. It's saving taxpayers money. We cut the federal deficit by $160 billion. Because Medicare will no longer have to pay those exorbitant prices to Big Pharma. This year, Medicare is negotiating lower prices for some of the
Don't forget, we
costliest
spend more
drugs
money
the
on
market.
Medicare and Medicaid than we do on the
Heart
entire
disease,
United States
arthritis.
military budget.
It's now time to go further and give Medicare the
And
power
also,
to
more and
negotiate
more
lower
doctors
prices
are not going
for
to take it
500
because they
different drugs
pay
over the next
so
decade.
poorly that the doctors can't afford the bureaucracy that they have to put in
They're making
place
a
to
lot of
meet all the
money,
rules and
guys.
regulations.
Exactly.
And they'll still be extremely profitable. Will not only save lives, it will save taxpayers another $200 billion. Starting next year, the same law caps total prescription drug costs for seniors on Medicare at $2,000 a year, even for expensive cancer drugs that cost $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. Now I want to cap prescription drug costs at $2,000 a year for everyone.
Yeah, that's really going to help innovation.
Yeah, price fixing works fantastic all throughout history. Just open its history book and figure out, you know, just look up controlling prices and see how well it really works.
Berlin, Moscow, even Moscow probably. And bring your prescription with you, and I promise you I'll get it for you for 40% the cost you're paying now. Same company, same drug, same place. Folks, the Affordable Care Act, the old Obamacare, it's still a very big deal.
Yeah, people are still having to pay penalties because they couldn't afford health insurance.
So the cancer comment a while ago, he said the COVID vaccines are curing cancer.
Over 100
Wait, what?
million of you
Did he really?
can no longer be denied health insurance because of pre-existing condition. Well, my predecessor,
God, that's still so
many
stupid.
in this chamber, want to take this prescription drug away by repealing Affordable Care Act.
Just allow me to buy
let that
health
happen.
insurance in another state and the prices will go down.
Stop you
This is the easiest fix in the world.
Or how about allow hospitals to have as many hospital beds as they're willing to put in a hospital?
Yeah. Why does a hospital have to go through the government to decide how many hospital beds they need?
Reduce health care costs for millions of working families. That tax credit expires next year. I want to make that savings permanent.
This is not one iota of anything related to the State of the Union.
No, not one bit. There hasn't been a single comment about, except for that one auto plant. That's the only thing that's been in America that's already happened under his administration. It's actually,
and that was a campaign ad. That wasn't telling us about the State of the Union.
White House initiative on women's health research, led by Jill, doing an incredible job.
Oh, Dr. Jill. Yeah, that's. I'm with Bill Burr. Why do we pretend that the First Lady does anything? Like, why? What is it? Let's go talk to LeBron James's wife or girlfriend about, basketball. Like, come on.
$1 billion to transfer women's health research and benefit millions of lives all across America. I know the cost of housing is so important to you.
Where did this come from? That was a strange twist.
Mortgage rates will come down as well, and the Fed acknowledges that. But I'm not waiting. I want to provide an annual tax credit that will give Americans $400 a month for the next 2 years.
Yes, DJ, these people are so evil. 100%.
Mortgages when they buy their first home or trade up for a little more space. Just for 2 years.
Can you add somebody else to the thing here?
You can. I think you have the Zoom call, so I can.
I know, but I didn't know if you can add.
If you add them to a Zoom call, I can add them in.
There's also eliminating
I'll
title
send
insurance
DJ an
on
invite.
federally backed mortgages. When you refinance your home, you can save
I can move stuff around.
$1,000 or more as a consequence. For millions of renters, we're cracking down on big landlords who use antitrust law, who break antitrust laws.
This is like a leftist wet dream speech. It's just horrible.
We've cut red tape so builders can get federally financing, which is already helping build a record 1.7 million new housing units nationwide. Now pass.
How many of them are going to be owned by BlackRock?
2 million affordable homes and bring those
China.
rents down.
Yeah. This is...
To remain the strongest economy in the world, we need to have the best education system in the world.
Have you noticed it's also like a middle school speech where he's like just jumping with no proper transition between them whatsoever?
Every child a good start by providing access to preschool for 3 and 4 years old.
At least he's not reading the margin notes.
Hey, public schools have worked so well, we're going to have public preschools. Isn't that going to be great? Hey, down in front.
I think I pointed out last year.
Someone keeps putting their cane
children
up.
coming from broken homes where there's no books, they're not read to, not spoken to very often. Start school, kindergarten, or first grade.
Maybe we should encourage, proper, something like the nuclear family.
Studies
that would work
show
out great to help them.
The children who go to preschool are nearly 50% more likely to finish high school, go on to earn a 2- and 4-year degree, no matter what their background is.
Yeah, that's just because people who have more money send their kids to preschool. That has nothing to do with the quality of preschool. It's just the quality of people who typically send their kids to preschool.
Well, and I don't think graduation rates are anything to brag about, seeing as you can graduate without passing anything.
They were angry.
I think it said that the kids in Chicago, who graduated last year, were not proficient at all in either math, reading, or English.
As vice president,
or writing, I mean.
I met with over 182 of those folks. Don't hold me to the exact number. And I asked them what they need most, the CEOs. And you've had the same experience on both sides of the aisle. They say a better educated workforce, right? So I looked at them.
I think they're probably more competent in general.
DuPont used to be the 8th largest corporation
I think it's
in the
just
world.
one that actually shows up when they're supposed to show
And
up to work.
The enterprise they bought, they educated the workforce.
Most people I'm working with, that's the problem they're
now
dealing
you do
with, is
that
they can't
anymore.
get people to show up.
Why are you angry with me providing you the opportunity for the best educated workforce in the world? And they all looked at me and said, I think you're right. I want to expand high-quality tutoring and summer learning to see that every child learns to read by 3rd grade.
We can really groom those kids if we get them just a few years earlier.
Well, not only that, he's talking about summer programs too. So, you know, having them for the majority of the year is not enough. They need that last 3 months too.
So students get hands-on experience and a path to
Cradle to grave, baby. Cradle to grave.
They go to college.
They need hands-on experience knowing how to properly handle drag shows, damn it.
Let's continue increasing the Pell Grants to working and middle-class families and increase record investments in HBCUs.
How about charter schools and school vouchers, you know? So that way kids can go to schools that they have actually shown a track record of success.
When I was told I couldn't universally just change the way in which we dealt with student loans, I fixed 2 student loan programs that already existed to reduce the burden of student debt.
The Supreme Court said you can't, but yet he does anyway, and nothing is done about it because of an impotent Republican Party.
Again, why show him any amount of respect whatsoever?
The public educator from Minnesota who's here with us tonight. Keenan, where are you? Keenan, thank you. He's educated hundreds of students so they can go to college. Now he's able to help.
He's like, am I supposed to keep standing or what?
His own daughter to college. And folks, look.
You know that woman to the right went to college. Clearly turned out well for her.
Buy a home, start a business, start a family. While we're at it, I want to give public school teachers a raise.
And what authority do you have to do that?
Pocahontas approves.
And by the way, the first couple of years, we cut the deficit.
What is that?
Let me speak to the question of fundamental fairness for all Americans.
These transitions.
I've been delivering real results in fiscally responsible ways.
35 trillion in debt would say otherwise.
We've already cut the federal deficit over $1 trillion. I signed the bipartisan deal to cut another $1 trillion.
There's lies, damn lies, and statistics. So keep that in mind.
By making big corporations very wealthy, finally beginning to pay their fair share.
The 10% should be paying 99% of all taxes, not 90.
I'm a capitalist. If you want to make or can make $1 million or millions of bucks, that's great.
The biggest lie of the night.
I'm a capitalist. I only want price fixing and government control over everything.
A fair tax code is how we invest things to make this country great.
Oh, fair tax code. You like that, right?
So much more. But here's the deal. The last administration enacted a $2 trillion tax cut. Overwhelmingly benefit the top 1%.
No, I was doing people's taxes during that time. They were literally keeping over $100 more almost a month in many cases.
They added more to the national debt than any presidential term in American history.
Because of COVID.
Check the numbers. Folks at home, does anybody really think the tax code is fair? Do you really think the wealthy and big corporations need another $2 trillion tax break? I sure don't. I'm going to keep fighting like hell to make it fair. Under my plan, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in federal taxes.
No, just the prices of everything you buy will continue to inflate even faster is all. Companies will let you go because they have less money to work with.
The child tax credit I passed during the pandemic cut taxes for millions of working families and cut child poverty in half.
What?
Restore that child.
I don't think it's even remotely true.
No child should go hungry in this country.
The biggest problem when it comes to a lower class, the biggest health problem they have is obesity.
Remember in 2020?
Yeah, don't say that. You can't have to say that on YouTube. Can't say they're fat.
$40 billion.
No, that was on TikTok where I got kicked off for saying someone was fat.
Not anymore. Thanks to the law I wrote.
Oh wait, no, yeah, I couldn't title it fatty for some reason.
15%.
Yeah, you couldn't title the YouTube video.
Than working people paying federal taxes. It's time to raise corporate minimum tax to at least 21%.
I should have just kept watching the hockey game. This is just making my blood pressure go sideways.
So every big corporation finally begins to pay their fair share.
I like the Republicans who are just on their phone right now, presumably tweeting or Xing or whatever you want to call
Yeah,
it.
there's. I've been looking. Some of the tweets coming through are pretty good.
$1 million that could be deducted. They can pay them $20 million if they want, but deduct $1 million. End it now. You know, there are 1,000 billionaires in America. You know what the average?
That's
federal tax is for
fantastic,
those
man. We're doing
billionaires?
well.
No. They're making great sacrifices. 8.2%. That's far less than the vast majority of Americans pay.
They are not paying
No
eight.
billionaire
You are.
should pay a lower federal tax rate than a teacher, a sanitation worker, or a nurse.
That lie always gets put forward. It is insane. It takes.
I would think maybe. I would think your buddy Elon might reply to that one.
A minimum tax for billionaires of 25%, just 25%. You know what that would raise? That would raise $500 billion over the next 10 years. And imagine what that could do for America. Imagine a future.
Imagine what
with
that could do for
affordable
Ukraine.
childcare.
What are you going? You
Millions
don't
of
use it on
families can
America.
get they need to go to work to help grow the economy. Imagine a future with paid leave, because no one should have to choose between working and taking care of their sick family member. Imagine the future of home care and elder care, and people living with disabilities, so they can stay in their homes and family caregivers can finally get the pay they deserve. Tonight,
Most of the tweets
all
revolve
agree
around.
once
Have you
again
gotten your son to
stand
pay
up
his
for
taxes yet?
seniors. Many of my friends on the other side of the aisle want to put Social Security on the chopping block. If anyone here tries
Again,
to cut Social Security healthcare or raise the retirement age, I will stop you.
It's unsustainable, you dipshit. There's no way this
Again.
Ponzi scheme can last.
We spend more on Social Security, nearly double on Social Security, than what we do for the entirety of the United States military
Pay more to Social
budget.
Security than millionaires and billionaires do. It's not fair. We have two ways to go. Republicans can cut Social Security and give more tax breaks to the wealthy. That's the proposal.
It is not.
No, it's
That
not.
Liar.
You guys
Somebody
don't
call
want
him
another
out for this
$2 trillion
bullshit.
tax cut? I kind of thought that's what your plan was. Well, that's good to hear. You're not going to.
Somebody start shouting out Dementia Joe or something like that.
I'll protect and strengthen Social Security and make the wealthy pay their fair share. Look. Too many corporations
At this point, I would say to hell with decorum. I would just get up and walk out.
charging more and more
Right
say
down
that-
the center aisle.
I'll say to hell with decorum. Someone throw a pie. Like, come on. If this gonna be this big of a circus, let's go all in.
Who throws a shoe?
Honestly.
You won't notice. If they change,
Me and Kat watched Goldfinger the other day, by the way. She loved it. I mean Goldfinger. I don't mean Austin Powers.
No, I'm not joking. It's called shrinkflation. Pass Bobby Casey's bill and stop this.
Yes, more federal control over businesses.
You probably all
That's
saw
exactly
that
what a
commercial
avowed
on
capitalist would do.
Snickers bar.
I read it in Iran, don't you know?
Charge the same amount, and you got about, 10% fewer Snickers in it. Look, I'm also getting rid of junk fees. Those hidden fees at the end of your bill that are there without your knowledge. My administration announced we're cutting credit card late fees
That'll
from
change the world.
$32 to $8.
Again, price controls.
Banks and credit card companies are allowed to charge what it costs them to instigate the collection. And that's more a hell of a lot like $8 and 30-some dollars.
What?
They don't like it. The credit card companies don't like it. But I'm saving American families $20 billion a year with all the junk fees I'm eliminating.
Again,
Folks at home,
why is it not already done if it is such a great
that's why
thing?
the banks are so mad. It's $20 billion in profit. I'm not stopping there. My administration has proposed rules to make cable, travel, utilities, and online ticket sellers tell you the total price up front so there are no surprises.
or again, free up the market so I have more choices in these utilities.
In November,
So now, an
my
hour
team
and
began
7
serious
minutes, we're now
negotiations with a
attacking
bipartisan group of senators.
StubHub,
The result
and not
was a
one word about
bipartisan
cartels
bill
at our
with
border.
the toughest set of border security reforms
Oh, there we go.
we've ever seen.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, you don't think so? Oh, you don't like that bill, huh? That conservatives got together and said it was a good bill?
Yeah, conservatives.
Oh, that's amazing. That bipartisan bill would hire 1,500 more security agents and officers.
It is the
100 more
AOC
immigration
method.
judges,
It's not illegal if we just make it
2
legal.
million cases, 4,300 more asylum officers, and new policies so they can resolve
70
cases in
billion to
6 months
Ukraine.
instead of 6 years now. What are you against?
The amnesty for all the illegals.
100 more high-tech drug detection machines to significantly increase the ability to screen and stop vehicles smuggling fentanyl into America. That's killing thousands of children. This bill would save lives and bring order to the border. It would also give me and any new president new emergency authority to temporarily shut down the border when the number of migrants at the border is overwhelming.
You already have the
Border
authority.
Patrol Union has endorsed this
You
bill.
have that authority as the head of the executive branch. That's
You
by
can't know. Look at
default.
the facts. I know.
Trump already, you use executive orders to reverse what you just said you want done.
I believe that given the opportunity for a majority in the House and Senate would endorse the bill as well, a majority right now. But unfortunately, politics has derailed this bill so far. Told my predecessor called members of Congress in the Senate to demand they block the bill. He feels political win. He viewed it as would be a political win for me and a political loser for him. It's not about him. It's not about me. I'd be a winner. Not really.
Marjorie Taylor's going to make him say Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent
Lincoln.
young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right. But
Good,
not
wow.
only
All right, there you go.
People being killed by illegals. To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand. But look, if we change the dynamic at the border, people pay these smugglers $8,000 to get across the border because they know if they get by and let into the country, it's
going
6
all
to 8
script.
years
It
before
hurts.
they have a hearing. And it's worth taking the chance of the $8,000. But if it's only 6 months, 6 weeks, the idea is it's highly unlikely that people will pay that money and come all that way knowing that they'll be able to be kicked out quickly. Folks, I would respectfully suggest my Republican friends owe it to the American people, get this bill done. We need to act now.
Now, I will say, him even mentioning Lincoln Riley does help actually a lot for us. Just him even saying the name like that, this is something he should be running from,
And
if
my
anything.
predecessor is watching, instead of paying politics and pressuring members of Congress to block the bill, join me in telling the Congress to pass it. We can do it together. But that's what here's what he will not do. I will not demonize immigrants saying they are poison in the blood of our country.
He didn't
I
say
will
that.
not
He said illegals.
separate families.
Don't conflate criminals to legal immigrants. That's terrible.
People because of their faith. Unlike my predecessor on my first day in office, I introduced a comprehensive
No, he did not
bill
do
to
that.
fix our immigration system. Take a look at it. It has all these and more. Secure the border. Provide a
He banned people from coming from countries that were at war. Just because they happen to be majority Muslim doesn't mean it was a Muslim ban. If you're a Muslim coming from the UK, you were still welcome.
We're the only nation in the world with a heart and soul that draws from old and new. Home to Native Americans whose ancestors have been here for thousands of years. Home.
It's kind of an understatement, right?
They should have cut to Elizabeth Warren for that one.
Some came in chains. Some came when famine struck, like my ancestral family in Ireland. Some to flee persecution, to chase dreams that are impossible anywhere but here in America.
And they became
That's
Americans
America. And we all come
and
from
learned our
somewhere,
language.
but we're all Americans.
I know if you're here illegally, you're not
There
American.
she is. There was that famed Indian chieftain. Eat this.
Look, folks, we have a simple choice. We can fight about fixing the border, or we can fix it. I'm ready to fix it. Send me the border bill now.
You already have the power.
A transformational moment in history happened 58.
I thought he was about to go down something
today
else.
in Selma, Alabama.
What?
Hundreds of foot soldiers for justice marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, named after the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, to claim their fundamental right to vote.
Like
They
his
were
buddy.
They were bloody and left for dead. Our late friend and former colleague John Lewis was on that march. We miss him.
Your late mentor, Robert Byrd, was on the other side of that mark. That's the first time we got Johnson to stand up.
He still shouldn't have. I don't care if what he's saying is right. It not even really fully right. I mean, still, no need to.
Bit of a non sequitur the way it was placed into the speech.
Well, he got off track with thanks to MGT or MTG.
Help shake the nation's conscience. 5 months later, the Voting Rights Act passed and was signed into law. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And what does this have to do with the State of the Union?
But 59 years later,
Oh, here we go.
there are forces taking us back in time. Voter suppression, election subversion, unlimited dark money, extreme gerrymandering.
Yeah, election subversion, like having your FBI have people banned off Facebook and other social media sites for disagreeing with
And
you.
all the heroes have marched with him, then it's time to do more than talk. Pass the Freedom to Vote Act, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act.
For one, any changes to voting at all should be passed through a constitutional amendment, not just through a standardized bill. That should be the first thing.
Core value of America, our diversity across American life. Banning books, it's wrong. Instead of erasing history, let's make history.
More pornography in schools for children, damn it.
Pass the Equality Act.
Just imagine how much better off we'd be if we could only have those hustlers in our elementary school library.
Listen, I know young me will have loved to have had tons of pornography online, or on the internet. Or not on the internet, what am I saying? In schools. I'm listing all the places I got it.
Raise the federal minimum wage, because every worker has a right to a decent living more than a...
Ban minimum wage, at least federally. States can do what they will.
We're also making history by confronting the climate crisis, not denying it. I don't think any of you think we're no longer in a climate crisis.
The good thing we have an unlimited supply of
taking the most
money
significant
coming from
action
those
ever on climate in
1,000
the history of the
billionaires.
world.
We're going to be the only ones
I'm
left
cutting
paying
our
taxes,
carbon
apparently.
emissions in half by 2030.
Man, I hope you're buying some Bitcoin because the dollar is going to be worth zero soon.
500,000 electric vehicle charging stations. Conserving 30% of America's lands and waters.
The government should not be building electric charging stations. The companies who want to put out these vehicles should be the one who's funding that sort of stuff. It's that simple.
By the legacy of pollution.
But those charging
Pattern
stations
after the
powered
Peace
by
Corps and
coal-fired
AmeriCorps
plants and
and
diesel
launched the Climate
generators
Corps
are going to make all the
To
difference
put
in the world.
20,000 young people to work in the
The
forefront
cobalt
of our
mines aren't
clean
going to hurt
energy
anything.
future.
The
Oh, yeah.
lithium mines aren't
Not
going to
more
hurt
than a decade.
anything. The slave labor that's getting all the components doesn't matter.
I'd say we never really got rid of slavery. We just exported it.
That was a good shot of
Safety
Pocahontas
obvious.
again.
All Americans
She's getting good screen time
deserve
tonight.
freedom to be safe. And America is safer today than when I took office.
Ah!
Year before I took office, murder rates went up 30%. 30% they went up. The biggest.
I don't even know what he's saying.
I don't either. Sic Semper Tyrannis.
Is that really what he's saying?
No, but it's what came to mind.
Voted against, I might add. We made the largest investment in public safety ever. Last year, the murder rate saw the sharpest decrease in history.
If so, that's a ballsy thing to say.
More than 50 years.
No, I don't think that's what he said. It's just what it made me think
We've
about.
helped cities invest in more community police officers, more mental health workers.
He was in the balcony, jumped down, screamed, Sic Semper Tyrannis, and run out.
Retail crime and carjacking.
You know, as crappy as a state Virginia kind of has become overall, it's badass they have it on their flag. That just an image of them killing a tyrant saying that. Like, that's pretty cool.
The federal classification of marijuana and expunging thousands of convictions for the mere possession, because no one should be jailed.
No one got released from jail for marijuana charges because those charges are state charges, not federal charges. Anyone who had marijuana on their federal charges committed a additional crime, so they didn't apply here. It just
did you see Oregon is recriminalizing the hard drugs?
Yeah.
The hard way?
Against women in America.
The worst part is it wasn't even a fair test for the libertarians when it came to that, because libertarians will have argued that the crazies would have been dealt with people having their own firearms and able to defend themselves anyway.
His 9-year-old sister Jackie was murdered with 21 classmates and teachers in elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Very soon after that happened, Jill and I went to Uvalde for a couple of days.
Was that the one where the police protected the shooter and didn't allow anyone to go in to deal with the shooter until a guy who was getting his hair cut saw it on the news and grabbed his barber's shotgun and broke through the police barricade to kill the person who was doing it?
They said, do something. Do something.
The cops could have done something.
By establishing the first ever Office of Gun Violence Prevention in the White House.
So now we're getting to the portion of the show where they're going to physically take away a right of Americans, a constitutional, God-given right.
You know, if this is a recorded video and not a live stream, now would be the moment where I would, pick up my rifle and go, no. But live streams, that's a big no-no. You can't touch a weapon while on live stream.
My predecessor told
Unfortunately, all of mine were lost in a recent boating accident, so I don't have anything to show.
After another shooting in Iowa recently, he said, when asked what to do about it, he said, just get over it. There's his quote, just get over it. I say, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it.
Sounds like me yelling at Junior.
What's the deal with all the lizards he's picking up these days?
I don't know. He likes lizards. He's seen them from across the yard going, lizard, lizard, and making me open the door so I can run out there and get them.
We now must beat the NRA again. I'm demanding a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines.
Well, good news, Biden. There's already a ban on assault weapons as is. I can't go buy an assault rifle right now.
Well, define assault rifle. It's kind of like asking them to define a woman.
None of this violates the Second Amendment or vilifies responsible gun owners. As we manage challenges at home, we're also managing crises abroad, including in the Middle East. I know the last 5 months have been gut-wrenching for so many people, for the Israeli people, for the Palestinian people.
Oh, how does he play this one?
So many here in America. This crisis began on October 7th.
My TV over here is a little ahead, so I think he must say something good about Israel because we got some Republicans stand up.
Innocent people, women and girls.
Well, he's already acknowledging the attack that took place against Israel, so that's at least better than most of his supporters.
For the Jewish people since the Holocaust, and 250 hostages taken. Here in this chamber tonight.
Some of all American citizens.
We're not doing anything with Americans being taken hostage. Let's just sit back.
We need a Ronald Reagan to come in and say, I will kill all of you, including your family, if you do not release them.
We also...
And now we've gone from Screamy Joe to Whispery Joe.
Yeah.
We will also work
Oh, no, we're back.
around the clock to bring home Evan and Paul, Americans being unjustly detained by the Russians and others around the world. Israel has the right to go after Hamas. Hamas ended this conflict by releasing hostages, laying down arms, could end it by releasing the hostages, laying down arms, and surrendering those responsible for October 7th. But Israel has Israel has a added burden because Hamas hides and operates among the civilian population like cowards.
I'm surprised he's taking this route, to be honest.
Israel also has a fundamental responsibility, though.
Oh, here we go.
To protect innocent civilians in Gaza. This war.
Oh, man.
Has taken a greater toll on innocent civilians than all previous wars in Gaza combined. More than 30,000 Palestinians have been killed. Most of whom,
according to whose number?
Are not Hamas.
Yeah, I know, right?
Thousands and thousands of innocents.
Just like that hospital that was bombed that, of course, turned out to be completely fake.
Nearly 2 million more Palestinians under bombardment or displacement. Homes destroyed, neighborhoods.
So rebel against your own government then at that case. I mean, I'm just...
It's heartbreaking.
It's amazing how the other countries that border are not taking them either, and they actually have border walls.
I know, right?
To get the hostages home.
And if you can list me any war that a country has won where this didn't happen, please tell me, because look at World War II history.
The United States has been leading international efforts to
there you go.
assistance to Gaza. Tonight,
anti-America wing of the Democrat Party shining bright.
Well, that's all a Democrat Party. It's more of just the pro-Palestine part. They're all anti-American. It's just at what level.
Temporary shelters. No U.S. boots will be on the ground. A temporary pier will enable a massive increase in the amount of humanitarian assistance.
So that's what he's going to do. I saw this ahead of time.
Yeah, I did too.
The port in Gaza.
Let's build up.
We can't build a border, but we can go build a port for Gaza.
And then send them aid.
Supplies that are going to be taken by Hamas.
Israel must allow more aid in the
Why would the people ever rebel against Hamas if they can still have all of the stuff they need to get by? I mean, come on.
Have a crossing in northern Gaza. To the leadership of Israel, I say this. Humanitarian assistance cannot be a secondary consideration or a bargaining chip.
It has to be a secondary consideration in war. I hate it. I despise it. I'm wearing an Endless War shirt, so I don't like war, but it is a reality of war. You can't ignore reality. Well, I mean, Democrats can't, obviously. They do it every single day, but...
And I say this.
I guess all the wars that we've ended throughout history through a siege, that's just meaningless at this point. That doesn't work anymore. That's not the way to go.
You know, when we marched on Berlin, it was all, you know, peace and flowers the whole way there, you know?
But there is no other path that guarantees Israel's security and democracy. There is no other path that guarantees Palestine.
When the Russians marched on Berlin.
With peace and dignity.
You want to talk about some atrocities.
Peace between Israel and all of its neighbors, including Saudi Arabia, with whom I'm talking. Creating stability in the Middle East also means containing the threat posed by Iran.
Creating stability in the Middle East by allowing the Taliban to take control of Afghanistan overnight, which, strange enough, actually hasn't been nearly as bad for us as we thought it would be.
Strikes to degrade the Houthi capability and defend U.S. forces in the region. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not hesitate to direct further measures to protect our people.
He's actually there. He's not in the hospital.
For years, I've heard many of my
got to put an air tag on that fella just so we know where he is.
Say that China is on the rise and America's falling behind. They've got it backwards.
No, not really.
For 4 years, even when I wasn't president. America's rising. We have the best economy in the world. And since I've come to office, our GDP is up, our trade deficit with China is down to the lowest point in over a decade. And we're standing up against China's
our GTB.
It's like you wanted to say RGB.
For peace and stability across the Taiwan Straits. I've revitalized our partnership and alliance in the Pacific. India, Australia, Japan.
That dude on the right
South
there.
Korea, Pacific Islands.
It's ma'am.
I made sure that the most advanced American technologies can't be used in China, not allowing to trade them there. Frankly, for all this tough talk on China, it never.
Don't worry, Swalwell's getting it to him.
Any of that. I want competition with China, not conflict. And we're in a stronger position to win the
expertise on
conflict
giving it to
of
a
the 21st
Chinese.
century against China than
The
anyone
Chinese.
else, for that matter, than any time as well. Here at home, I've signed over 400 bipartisan bills. But there's more to pass my unity agenda. Strengthen families on fentanyl trafficking.
Unity agenda.
Pass bipartisan privacy legislation to protect our children online. Harness the promise of AI to protect us from peril.
Well, that's a new one. Harness the power of AI.
And more. And keep our truly sacred obligation to train and equip those we send into harm's way and care for them and their families when they
The
come
first
home.
constitutional allocation of funds we've had today.
That's why the song Support and Help of Dennis and the VA, I signed the PACT Act.
The VA that made it against the rule to have the Times Square kissing picture in there goes offensive to women.
Now are battling more than 100 different cancers. Many of them don't come home, but we owe them and their families support.
I'm just glad the GTB is where it needs to be. That was my biggest concern coming in about our state.
And remind us that we can do big things, like end cancer as we know it, and we will.
There's the cancer pledge again.
Let me close with this. Yay!
Yay!
I know you don't want to hear any more, Lindsay, but I got to say a few more things. I know it may not look like it, but I've been around a while. When you get to be my age, certain things become clearer than ever. I know the American story.
Except for your speech.
Again and again, I've seen the contest between competing forces in the battle for the soul of our nation. Between those who want to pull America back to the past.
I haven't missed many of these speeches since the 70s, and this is by far the worst.
Freedom and democracy.
And I don't even think it's
based
close.
on core values that have defined America: honesty, decency, dignity, equality. To respect everyone, to give everyone a fair shot, to give hate no safe harbor. Now, other people my age see it differently. The American story of resentment, revenge, and retribution. That's not me. I was born amid World War II.
As he has people in solitary confinement for protesting.
I grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claymont, Delaware, among working class people who built this country. I watched in horror as two of my heroes, like many of you did, Dr. King and Bobby Kennedy, were assassinated. And
Goes there, of course.
Inspired me to pursue a career in service.
I'm pretty sure he was also terribly saddened seeing the assassination of Lincoln.
Defender because my city of Wilmington was the only city in America occupied by the National Guard after Dr. King was assassinated because of the riots. And
it's a weird thing for Kamal to be smiling at.
Councilman, almost by accident. I got elected to the United States Senate when I had no intention of running at age 29. Then vice president of our first black president. Now president to the first women vice president.
You see, Russia's a big country, and it's attacking Ukraine, a small country, and that's bad.
In my career, I've been told I was too young.
I love school buses.
I don't even let me on the Senate elevators for votes sometimes. They're not a joke.
By the way, where's my slave labor to help fight the fires in California? I know they were supposed to be released last month, but we need them for free labor.
Maybe she could ask her Jamaican slave-owning family.
It runs in the genes.
The Americans that we're all created equal and deserve to be treated equally throughout our lives. We've never fully lived up to that idea, but we've never walked away from it either. And I won't walk away from it now. I'm optimistic.
At least she's not wearing something that looks like a tablecloth tonight. Normally her choice of attire is questionable at best.
My fellow Americans, the issue facing our nation isn't how old we are. It's how old are our ideas.
What?
Hate, anger, revenge, retribution are the oldest of ideas. But you can't lead America with ancient ideas that only take us back. You lead America, the land of possibilities. You need a vision for the future and what can and should be done.
This was nothing. This was not a State of the Union whatsoever. This was totally a convention.
Hey,
I see a future where
his dress
defending
sleeves
democracy,
are buttoned wrong,
you
by the
don't
way.
diminish it. I see a future.
They're
where we restore the right
buttoned
to choose
like
and protect
this
our freedoms, not
instead of
take
like
them away.
actually folded all. Like, look.
I see a future where the middle class
See?
has
Look at it.
a fair shot, and the wealthy have to pay their fair
That's not
share
how
in
they're supposed to be
taxes.
buttoned. It's supposed to wrap.
I see a future.
Maybe I just
where
don't
we
know
save
anything
the
about
planet
fine
from the
suits,
climate
but
crisis and our country from gun violence.
Yeah, I'll trust Dr. Jill dressing in more than I'm going to trust your
I see a
thoughts on it.
future for all Americans. I see a country for all Americans. And I will always be president for all Americans. Because I believe in
Except for
America.
one
I believe in you,
demographic.
the American people. You're the reason we've never been more optimistic about our future than I am now. So let's build the future together. Let's remember who we are. We are the United States of America.
Hey, I'm glad he
And
remembered.
there is nothing, nothing beyond our capacity when we act together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
all right. Well, that was something. Real quick, I've wondered this. I haven't looked up before. Who started the whole "May God bless you" and "May God bless the United States of America" or any of that?
It's a good question. I don't know.
I-
I'm old, but I don't think I'm that old.
I mean, Biden was probably there when it started, I take it, but man, I just nothing about taking any form. Oh man, there was, like you said, no State of the Union whatsoever there, right? None whatsoever. It's here's what I'm going to do after I get reelected. / here is why the other side is evil, despicable, and by the way, I want to unify everybody. My God, that's just terrible. Ugh.
Well, so "God Bless America" was the official campaign song for Franklin Roosevelt and the Republican Wendell Willkie. But I don't know that there is an actual answer as to who started in their speech that way.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was someone like JFK or someone like that who was a bit more performative. You know what I mean? Because great line. It's a fantastic line.
Some say Nixon, some say Reagan.
I could see Nixon doing that too. Nixon did have the whole, the whole peace out sign.
I am not a crook.
Hey, by today's standards, he's not remotely a crook.
No, I know.
But by today's standards, I know today's standards, Nixon is like one of the most upstanding like politicians ever.
It was, well, I don't want to get there, but it was just such a dumb thing.
It really was. Of course, having the FBI spy on your political opponents directly, that's allowed, but how far we've fallen.
In an election that was so far out of reach, he won 49 states out of 50, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I also believe since we started recording like the approval rating of presidents, Nixon has the highest ever recorded approval rating of any president in American history.
Yeah, I believe that's true. And not far behind him was the first George Bush right after the Gulf War started, and then he still went on to only get one term. That's how quickly things can change. That's why when we say, well, I don't think it matters what the polls say right now or any of that. I mean, it can change so quickly.
I mean, what matters is like day before the election. Let's be real. Well, sorry, day before people start voting, because obviously that changes now.
Yeah, and what matters is who's tallying those votes, as we learned.
Yeah. Which again, it's funny that now YouTube does allow some criticizing of the elections, just because obviously we're having a new one starting up. Because don't forget, when Trump won, it was nothing but them criticizing the election over and over and over, saying not my president and all that stuff. So it's okay when they do. It's okay when Hillary says, he didn't win fairly and Russia interfered and they changed votes and all this kind of crap. But the minute Republicans bring up any problems with the 2020 election, banned. We'll see how. Here's the thing that kind of worries me. So say Trump wins, right? And that's what we're hoping, obviously. And if I had to place money, is what I'm thinking. Google went on a spree of banning people, of censoring content left and right after that election cycle. How bad will it be if he wins again? Or at that point, will it just be, crap, we're kind of done for right now, at least? Because you see these companies, they're laying off people left and right now. I mean, they're actually starting to see some ramifications for their actions. And I'm pretty sure Elon's laughing hysterically when they criticized him for laying off 75% of their workforce. And, of course, X is running better than Facebook, Instagram, or any of these other sites that are going down left and right from these cyber attacks. So, obviously, all the positions are inflated as is.
You started that out with what if Trump wins? If he wins again, it's going to get ugly, and it's not going to wait until inauguration this time. I don't think. I think it's going to get ugly.
If he loses, it will be ugly regardless. That's the problem. I do think it gets uglier if he wins because the left is more violent. Now, the right's more effective when they do get violent. That is true. Like, whenever you see, like, any right-wing, like, conflict that does happen, you know who wins in those conflicts. It's not the left. But the left is the one who's just continuously violent. And what's going to be interesting here, though, is if, let's say, riots spark up across the nation again, does Trump this time bring in the National Guard?
Well, apparently that's okay to do now when it wasn't okay before, because now New York is saying it's okay.
Well, then again, I don't think the president should bring in National Guard for almost anything that's a state issue in the first place. I think that's totally up to the governor. The president should not be concerned with it whatsoever. I really think so much power should be delegated to the states that even when the riots were happening, I still say it should have been up to the governors of each state to fix it, not Trump in the first place. And except for the riots that were taking place in D.C. That was the only time Trump should have been very, very hands-on with it. But I mean, it's going to be bad if he does win, right? I mean, they're going to be rioting like crazy if he wins. Which, I'm not going to lie, part of me is kind of, I don't want to say I'm excited to see because it's going to be bad for a lot of people, but the riots did wake a lot of people up at the same time. There were plenty of people who were very hardened by it who did start turning, started to look at the other side afterwards. So it should be interesting to see.
So what do you think the talking heads are saying about it?
Depends. If it's Fox, probably very bland comments against Biden. If it's CNN, MSNBC, oh, what a message of unification. Something along those lines. Well, what do you got? I can't pull up their videos because that will get copyright struck, but C-SPAN's normally okay.
Yes, CNN seems to be pleased.
Now tell me this: Are you impressed with how well he held it together throughout it?
So the fact that he stayed alert the whole time was much more than I expected. Because last time he did have that moment toward the end where the batteries ran out, and I was expecting it again, and that didn't happen. As far as his physical demeanor went, I think this was better than last year. But the speech was horrible. Oh
yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's been bad every time, but this is, the entire speech was big government control over business and industry, as well as all of my opponents are evil, despicable people, basically. That's the entirety of the speech. Oh, and we need to send more money to Ukraine. We can't forget that one, of course.
Well, and the State of the Union is supposed to be a unifying speech, and that was the most divisive speech I've ever heard for a State of the Union.
So I don't mind them not being unifying during their speeches. Like, I kind of enjoy when the president does try to, there's a certain
This is State
back
of
and
the
forth.
Union.
I
This
know,
one is different.
but we all agree that's a show. It doesn't actually mean anything. If the State of the Union was actually going to be taken seriously, it wouldn't be televised. That's the only way it can be taken seriously. It wasn't. It was supposed to just be the president send someone to read out a report to Congress. That was the point of the State of the Union. How's the war effort going? We're having some problems with the Barbary pirates, but things are looking good. It was supposed to be like that. It wasn't supposed to be this grand spectacle that it is today. But since it is a grand spectacle, let's lean into it more. Let's have more let's have more altercations. Let's see what people do when they start getting pushed around a bit. For one, the separation of powers, I like seeing when they start butting heads more. I think that's normally a good thing. Congress should have a certain amount of disdain for the presidency, and the presidency should have a certain amount of disdain for the Congress.
Dementia meds meet their match. That's the Babylon Bee.
Man, I
think the dementia meds held up tonight, though. That's the one thing we
They
got to say
did.
that was a shining moment for modern medicine to keep him alert for that.
Again, it's all the adrenochrome and the mock child sacrifices and all that stuff they do over in California. Did you see that Ryan Garcia stuff?
CBS, he has the stamina and the fire to go 4 more years.
Yeah, he gave what, a 2-hour speech, right? Started around 9:30.
Yeah,
no,
he started.
Yeah, 9:30 to about 10:30. So actually about an hour speech, you would say. I mean, I know for a fact you could go on for a 3-hour speech without too much of an issue. So, and does it say something that people are actually excited about his cognitive skills to speak for 1 hour? I mean, we need a president. Again, I would like to see a president who can simply stand up for 6, 7, 8 hours at a time and just go on and on and on and on if necessary. That's what I would like to see. Well, I take that back. I wouldn't actually want to actually watch it, but that's what I want to see them capable of. Which Trump basically does, right? When he does event.
Charlie Kirk says, breaking 81-year-old Joe Biden managed to complete his State of the Union speech, and that's not where he left it.
I did thought
there was just so many lies, and I mean we probably need to slow it down off camera and just break it down and do a fact check episode.
I mean, I know I did expect him to have more gaffes than he ended up having. I'll say that. I really expected a lot more gaffes. It was funny though. Once he got off his teleprompter, or I guess the paper, he was just reading directly off the paper, halftime. But once he got off that, he did have a few here or there. Once he had to start saying Lake and rallies, when he had some issues around that point.
The fact that,
but he did hold it together.
The whole thing was a chance to, because they've been saying say her name. So the whole point was he was going to say her name, and he called her Lincoln Riley, who's a football coach.
I still don't know. I feel like him saying it in general, though, does actually hurt him more than helps him. Because, again, it does bring attention to it regardless. And, like, he barely was on it. I don't know. The whole thing with the border is still just utterly insane to me. You know what? Actually, let me pull this up. I'm not going to stop the screen share because it will change the angle that you're at right now. Well, actually, I think I can because I think it will pull it up back. Let me try this real quick. I can fix it real quick if it doesn't. No, okay, so it's close enough. That works. All right, so stop the screen share. I'll just pull it up on here. Well, give me 1 second. Because stuff that like these Democrat states have been going insane with some of the things that they've been doing when it comes to illegal immigration.
What was that?
What was that? I didn't see.
I don't know what it was. It looked like a monster hand of some sort. I don't know what it was.
So here we go. I'll pull this up right here. Oh, yep, it's showing 3 of you or 2 of you. let me fix that. There we go. Okay.
The more the merrier.
For one, New York, Governor Hochul, as we mentioned the fact, of course, they're bringing in National Guard to secure the subways. At the same time, they're relaxing job requirements for illegals to make sure they can actually get government jobs, which I thought hiring illegals in the first place was an illegal act in itself. But not only are they trying to make it so it's easier to hire illegals, they're lowering the requirements, including making it so they don't have to speak English to be able to get a job. So they make it easier for them not just to take American jobs, but even government jobs, which the fact of an illegal working in government is astounding in itself.
Well, this can't be surprising. They're suing Elon for not hiring enough illegals, enough migrants to work on highly secretive and secured, with supposedly real good security measures, rocket science.
It's illegal for them to hire anyone who's not a fully nationalized American citizen. Yet they're trying to sue him for not hiring anyone but American citizens. Which, here's the thing. I still say, if I don't want to hire you because you're not American, I don't know why it's the government's business. I don't understand it. Now, admittedly, at this point in time, if I was hiring anyone, or hiring for any position, I probably would hire anyone just because, let's face it, there's not really a lot of people who are doing a good enough job right now. But you're telling me that you're going to sue him for following your laws. You set the law in place, say you can't hire these people, and you're the one now trying to turn around and sue him for obeying the law. It is absolutely insane.
Get back to the security side of this. They have to have high-level security clearance.
Yes, let's allow people who are Chinese citizens to see our rocket tech. I mean, come on. Common sense stuff here. So New York's doing that. Arizona vetoes a bill make it illegally crossing the border a state crime. So again, while Texas is doing all this great stuff on the border, I'm not sure if I can put air quotes over. I'm just gonna say Governor Katie Hobbs, she vetoes the bill, which would just simply make it so they can arrest people for crossing the border illegally. Why is this not already? Why can't you not already do that?
You're not insinuating that Maricopa County is corrupt, are you?
Not at all.
So
wait, no, we're not.
It was the Arizona Senate that was trying to pass a bill that it would make it legal to shoot anybody coming on your property from across the border.
Yep. Well, California now has also made it so, or is trying to make it to allow illegal immigrants to buy homes with zero down loans. Make it easier for them to purchase the limited property that California already has, because that's a big issue right now in California. All because, again, government intervention make it impossible for people to properly build new homes. So that they're going to limit the supply while increasing the demand, and then complain when they say, oh, why are homes so expensive?
Well,
absolutely
insane.
insane.
Do you remember what happened the last time we went on a spate of allowing people who couldn't afford homes to buy homes? I think that culminated in 2008 with a ginormous housing
Well, tell
crash.
me this. Why would illegals care about what happens to their credit?
They won't, but it's the banks that are going to end up eating it.
Yeah.
And then
we're going to bail them out.
Bail them out again.
Which, again, there is a question to be had about the fact of if they failed because of what the government said by law you had to do, is the government responsible to then bail them out? That is an interesting question overall. Now, of course, the correct answer is government doesn't get involved in the first place. That's the correct answer. But since they're already involved, do they have to then reimburse those banks?
Well, the great news for me is I make just a little less than $400,000 a year, so I'm not going to get affected
just
by any
a little
taxes
less,
to
right?
bail out the banks.
No, you'll just be paying increased prices all around, right?
Yeah, that's the biggest tax on the working man is inflation. That's a much bigger than, because 50% of Americans don't pay an income tax anyway.
So while Biden was talking about, the lower crime rate and all that stuff, while also talking about how, he's doing great when it comes to the border, I just went and pulled this stuff up. So the illegal immigrant who killed a 2-year-old, ICE apparently called to have him deported multiple times before he actually murdered the 2-year-old and shot his mother.
And which state was this in?
This was in Virginia.
So maybe we should share this one with Rachel Madcow and her cohorts.
Yep, 100%. You also had the one that killed or arrested. Yeah. Oh no. Was okay. So it was Maryland. So what it was right outside Virginia. Sorry, this is the same story. Yeah, it was in Maryland. So it was at that area, that tri-state area where they kind of all connect. It was around that area, right near like kind of.
Marva.
Yep. So there was that. Mom of Texas teen allegedly killed by illegal immigrant suspect calls for change after Lake and Raleigh murder. This happened in 2023, still under Biden again. And of course, no one heard about this story until after the Lake and Raleigh story kind of got viral. Migrant kills Washington state trooper after, getting caught, drinking and driving as well as smoking weed. So these stories are all over the place, and you could simply just keep on finding more and more and more and more of these.
And when it gets to the point of prosecuting, they're not prosecuting. There was one who killed a police officer who's not going to get prosecuted because they say he's not mentally capable to stand trial.
Saw that one too. Yep. Not mentally capable to stand trial. Mentally capable
Kinda
enough to, of course,
kind of
cross
like
the
the
border.
president. Kind of like the president. So maybe we can get him to Washington.
It is insane. So yeah, while they're sitting there saying our border is better than ever before, and hey, crime is down, everyone knows this crap's a lie. No, what it is you're not prosecuting people for committing the crimes. That's why crime is down on the books. People are pushing people in front of subways, and
So the Republican response is starting. If you want to kick it off,
would they have that available on C-SPAN?
should.
Let's see. Who's delivering it? Do you know?
Senator Katie Britt.
I don't believe I know that one. Let's see. One that won't get copyrighted. I'm not seeing C-SPAN deliver it. I might be able to get with this one. Let's see. Let me share screen again real quick. Why does it make me watch an ad? Let's see. Here we go. And 1 second.
One thing was quite clear, though. President Biden just doesn't get it. He's out of touch. Under his administration, families are worse off, our communities are less safe, and our country is less secure.
So is it weird that these things are always
I just
recorded
wish
prior
he
to the State of the
understood
Union?
What real families are facing around kitchen tables just like this.
Like, that's kind of
this
to
is
me.
where our family has tough conversations. It's where we make hard decisions. It's where we
It's
share
always-
the
it's
good,
not-
the
you
bad,
remember
and
when,
the ugly of our days.
Rubio got
It's where we laugh
lambasted
together.
for the one he did.
And it's where we hold
Was that the
each
one where he
other's
was
hands and
sweating a
pray for
lot?
God's guidance.
Yeah, it was kind of rough.
And many nights, to be honest, it's where Wesley and I worry. I know we're not alone. And so tonight, the
I'll be honest, I
American
already don't
family
like this.
needs to have a tough conversation.
It's that
Because
false
the truth is,
sincerity.
we're all
We just
worried
have such a
about the future
hard
of our
time.
nation.
It's like,
The country we know and love seems
Just
to be
speak normally.
slipping away, and it feels like the next generation will have fewer opportunities and less freedoms than we did. I worry my own children may not even get a shot at living their American dreams. My American dream allowed me, the daughter of two small business owners from rural Enterprise, Alabama, to be elected to the United States Senate at the age of 40. Growing up, sweeping the floor at my dad's hardware store and cleaning the bathroom at my mom's dance studio, I never could
okay,
have
this is just kind of
imagined
getting
what my
ridiculous.
story
This is just silly. I'm sorry. I might go through it later, but that is just, come on. I was sweeping the floor at old Pop's small business. I just be direct. Just speak normally. Say what you want to say.
I had such high hopes for her.
She looks like a very charming mother, but that's not what I want to hear from right now. I want to hear Republicans come out and just directly call this crap out. It's just the same old, same old. What Republicans need to do is come out and just directly say, our president is an absolute tyrant who is ignoring the Constitution every chance he gets. He wants to have full control over all American industry and business. He's going to destroy this economy more than it's already destroyed. He wants to open up the borders and flood it with illegal immigrants to replace you because he knows if he can get more people in who do not care about the Constitution, it'll be easier for him to get past all the communist crap he wants to get past. I want Republicans to be very direct about what is happening. Ugh.
So the guy that was taken out for yelling,
Yeah.
was apparently yelling United States Marines or 13 dead Marines.
Oh, the 13 dead Marines from Afghanistan.
But it was something about Marines.
He's got to speak clearer if he's going to make comments like that. What we need to have is like that old Family Guy bit where it's just some random dude audience going, "Boo, you suck," and just end it with that. Just very deadpan about it and everything. That's what we should have had. Hey, you remember back when them saying or calling Obama a liar when he lied? Like that was a big, serious thing. Of course, when Nancy Pelosi stands up and rips up the speech at the end of it, that no big deal.
Again, the Democrats play to win, the Republicans play to get along.
It's becoming less so now, luckily. It's still there, but we are starting to push that brand of Republicanism kind of out, which is, in my opinion, at least a good thing. Because we did not get... all the positives that have happened in America did not happen because people played to get along. That's just not how it worked. And Republicans need to start learning that if they don't get their butt in gear, then they're not long for this world in a way, because they will be arrested anytime they start speaking actual conservative values if this crap continues. I mean, look what's happening in other countries right now with Canada, adding hate speech now, making it so it's a $70,000 fine or up to life imprisonment.
Yeah, that is I can't believe what's happening to Canada.
Well, it's funny. Last time you said that it goes completely against, of course, Western values. But the reality is this is now the current Western values. Name a country right now that isn't doing this. I mean, seriously, is there any country? Every Western country is doing this.
For a minute, we could have said Poland.
Yeah. Currently, every Western country is banning speech and banning people from speaking their mind, as well as going more and more and more with this Marxist style of ideology of, oppressed versus oppressor and all this crap. We are the abnormality right now, or abnormality. I can't say that word. I have a hard time.
Abnormality.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just going to leave it to you with that one. Hey, listen, if Joe Biden can speak like he speaks there, I still have a shot, okay? But, we're the odd man out. How's that? It's that thing you do in school where you can't spell a word, so you change your sentence structure in general.
That was always done in cartoons too when I was growing up, when the cartoons were real. Not the crap we have today.
Hey, speaking of cartoons, did you see they're suspending Bluey for right now, or any new episodes of Bluey, so they can make a show about a gay child coming into his sexuality?
That's not true.
Yes, it's true. The animation company behind Bluey has suspended, they're not doing any new Bluey episodes right now because they're making a show about kids growing into their sexuality. Now, Millie, some people are saying, I can't believe Bluey would do this. The writers are not the ones who did this, right? It's not the writers of Bluey who are making this new show. It's the company they outsourced to animate it that is doing it. But here's the thing. Bluey was actually one of the #1 shows streamed across the country, and actually across almost any English-speaking countries in general. And the fact that they're going to say, we're not going to make any more of that because we want to make a show about a gay child coming into a sexuality should tell you everything you need to know about how these companies are ran. Absolutely insane.
I guess we're going to be left with nothing but the Daily Wire and their kids' shows at this point.
Hey, Junior loves that Mabel McClay show. I'm just saying, he loves it. So, It's not bad. Oh, man. Well,
Katie Britt's still going, still kind of breathlessly talking.
like she's on the verge of tears after every word is spoken. Just come on. Why not get someone who's a bit more energetic? I'd rather hear Marjorie Taylor Greene go on and on about some random crap that I don't even care about, to be honest.
Jewish space lasers?
I love the fact she never even said Jewish space. She just said space lasers, and they inserted the Jewish aspect of it. Of course, she can't say that. Of course, they can go on and on about chanting from the river to the sea, talking about the genocide of the Jews. No problem.
I talk about a lot of things I lament that I'm seeing these days, but I truly never thought I'd see anti-Semitism be so prevalent and so popular and just so accepted. There is so much anti-Semitism everywhere.
You know what's funny is I remember thinking like almost everyone thinks like, okay, if you were in Germany, how did this stuff like come to rise? How did people get this mindset? And I've come to the realization that no one has to be convinced of these views. The people they follow just have to say these views. That's all it is. It's just programming the idiots of society to just go along with what you say. I mean, look at these people who applaud when Joe Biden goes up there and says, "True knowledge, shop under pressure," and everyone goes, "Yay!" Like, you're really telling me they have any bit of critical thinking skills at all? It just makes no sense. And that's the thing. That's how so many of these people can switch instantly to becoming anti-Semitic. It takes no effort to do it all. Like, I used to say, wow, Hitler did a crazy thing convincing all these people. He didn't convince these people. He just got up there and spoke, and people who were too dumb to be convinced, they just went along with whatever, their leader was saying. It's that simple. It's just that the majority of people in society, I've come to believe, are just too stupid to have any critical thinking skills. And I truly do think it's the majority of people at this point. I know it sounds so harsh, it's so elitist, and so full of myself, but I don't know. I thought the more you read of history, the more you come to the conclusion people are idiots.
Well, just look around and just go on a modern day search for common sense, and let's see what you come back thinking.
I mean, don't get me wrong. People back during the foundation of our country were more intelligent than the average person of today. No doubt in my mind. At least when it comes to critical thinking knowledge, right? But even back then, I'm pretty sure the majority of people were still idiots. It's just back then they weren't voting. I want to come back to this again. Stupid people shouldn't be allowed to vote. There should be some requirements to vote. I got a little bit of heat from that short from me saying that, saying, "Oh, it's unconstitutional." That's why we pass a constitutional amendment. That's how our system works.
Or you repeal some.
Yes.
17, maybe.
17th is the closest to a silver bullet we got. Make it so senators are just appointed by state senates again. Or just enjoy the states can decide how they want to go. If they want to make it so the governor just chooses amongst the people, by all means, it's up to the states to decide. It should not. The Senate is supposed to represent the states, which means the federal government should have no hand in how that's handled at all, except for maybe an age requirement. Sure.
I talk politics with a lot of folks. I don't know anybody else who gets so animated over the 17th Amendment.
It is,
but I guess
the biggest issue.
For the longevity. I guess for the longevity of what we're doing here, it's better to rail on that one than the 19th. So I'll keep pushing the other button.
No, again, you don't have to repeal the 19th. All you have to do is say, if you want to vote, you have to sign up for the draft. And we know over 90% of women are not signing up for the draft.
Hey, I wouldn't have either, except for the threat of a gun. So,
listen, if you made it so sign up for the draft and you get to vote, I would have easily signed up for the draft. That's not a problem to me, because at that point, guess what? There'll be less war because the people who pay the price for war will be the ones deciding on it. All right, you wouldn't have. Do you really think all the people who went to Vietnam would have signed on to Vietnam? Because they would have been your voting base, not the people who are staying back home. But again, it astounds me that people who never have to pay the price for their poor decisions are allowed to make that decision in the first place.
You think they would have seen through the fake Gulf of Tonkin and all the other things that led up to the war? Or would they have just believed it because they fought for the country and believed that the politicians were on their side?
The politicians probably would have been more on their side had they been the ones who were electing them in the first place, to be honest. Now, we still probably would have, and there's a good chance we would have gone, because you could make an argument that, hey, us being the world police and us, stopping the spread of communism you could make an argument saying it was probably a good thing overall. Now, I would say Vietnam's still an egregious error, but how much of it was an error of us going in, and how much of it was an error of how we handled going in? Because there is that question. If
the mistake was not going in with total war.
Well, we went in the same way we went into like Iraq and all of that, where we said, we're going to train you to defend yourselves. Instead of saying, y'all sit down, the big boys are in charge now. If we had done, because here's the thing, every actual battle that was for the most part fought in Vietnam, that we were the main like participators in, where we weren't relying on the Vietnamese whatsoever, like the, South Vietnamese, all those battles, we pretty much won. Like for every one American they killed, we killed like 50 of them. I don't know the actual numbers, but it was an astounding number that I remember seeing. We won almost every battle. But we didn't win the war because we had stupid policies was the big deal. Now, I'm not saying we should have been in Vietnam. I think for the most part, we probably shouldn't have been there. However, there is an argument to be said that, hey, the Korean War worked out very well.
There's a much better argument for being in Vietnam than a lot of other things we've done since. Because
no, 100%.
The threat of communism was real. But
no.
Again, it was going in half-hearted and not going in with a total war. If you're going to fight a war, fight it to win. And that means, yes, there will be civilian casualties, because the point of armies is to kill people and break stuff.
Yeah, and the reality is war is not finished until the civilians want it to be finished. The reality is the army and those in control will never want to end the war.
That's how we lost. They just drug it out long enough for the civilians here to say enough is enough. We're done.
Exactly. It was never...
Because we didn't go in total war. Yeah,
exactly. And look at Japan. After we nuked them twice, they still wanted to keep on going. Their leadership, he wanted to keep on fighting. It was the people who were paying the price who said, no, we are done with this. The leadership will never quit. They just will not. Because for one, they know it doesn't work out good for them when they do, right? They know it just doesn't work out well. And I think it actually did work out somewhat okay for the Emperor of Japan. I think he kind of got a pass, didn't he? Do you remember?
Well, I don't know if you can call it getting a pass, but he wasn't one of the many of the generals who had to fall on his own sword, which is kind of
ironic. Well, I know we gave Japan a lot of passes, though, when it came to some of the stuff. I think one of the things we said is, give us all of your research on the atrocities you committed over in mainland China, and we'll forgive you for a lot of those crimes. Was it 743 or something like that, where they would do stuff like freeze your arm and then shatter it to see what would happen? Like, just awful thing. Did weapons testing on just civilians. Like, I look at the rape of Nanking as one of the biggest atrocities. After the rape of Nanking, mind you, the Nazis got involved to tell them to chill out. When the Nazis are telling you, you've gone too far, you've gone way too far. So, yeah, we cut them a lot of slack after World War II. We really did.
Well, man, it was so complicated. And it's so weird how geopolitics works and how they even got involved on that side to begin with.
Oh, I know.
Everything that was going on leading up to Pearl Harbor, everything leading up to all of it, and the liberal, very liberal British response before the war started with Neville Chamberlain and the appeasement and all that sort of thing. It's so many moving parts. And I kind of said this with the election. It would be fun to go back and just see how it would play out if this would change. Just a couple of changes and it would have been completely different. But my favorite Norm Macdonald bit was that last one at the end when he talked about, there's only really one country in the world I've ever really worried about. It's not Russia, and it's not Iraq, and it's not Iran. It's Germany.
Now, I'm not sure if any of you are history buffs.
I'm not sure if any of you are, but at the end of the last century, they went to war. And their opponent?
The world. And the crazy thing is, it was kind of close.
That whole bit is fantastic.
The way he could deliver jokes just with such a flat expression was amazing. Truly
30
amazing.
years 30 years later, they go to war again. Their opponent,
The world.
the world.
I will say, you talk about changing history. What would happen if we just didn't have the Treaty of Versailles?
I know that was such a big part of, and so then you kind of look, because a lot of times in our own country of the Civil War, there's a lot of folks who get on Grant and Lincoln for being too easy on the South and on the Reconstruction, and even though it really, after the total war from Sherman and the things that were going on, it really, I don't know that we can say it was terribly easy, but there's a lot of folks that say that it was too easy, but they were looking ahead. They said if we strip absolutely everything, we're never going to reunite.
I mean, Sherman was in favor of basically just executing almost everyone in the South. Yeah, in fact, don't forget, Sherman took actual slaves while he was in the South. During his march, he was taking slaves, and then he abandoned them and let them all die at another point when they had to cross the river. And just awful things.
Overall, look through history, the way that it ended and the way it came back together is pretty unique.
Oh yeah,
and the Treaty of Versailles was it was
pretty
brutal.
Egregious, especially when you look at the fact in World War One, Germany didn't really do anything wrong in World War One. I mean, you could say they did something, but they weren't doing anything that was that different than any other country at the time, I should say. Like, obviously, we don't agree with invading foreign, other nations now, but you can't judge them by the morality of today. You have to judge them by the morality for which they lived. And for the morality for which they lived, that really wasn't anything too insane to do. And how it all got started, how convoluted.
The powder keg with Ferdinand and the Austria-Hungarian Empire in Serbia, and the radicals kill. And then that leads to World War One. It's just how these things all work together for the geopolitical side of things. It's just fascinating.
I mean, no one could make the argument to me that World War One Germany was at all evil one bit. At that point, I still say that was the most basic form of war there is. Just two nations going at it because of major political disagreements, as well as just convoluted treaties, to be honest. Very normal stuff.
So you do know that the reason your granddaddy had to go through a couple of he always says I have 2 graduating classes, because he had to quit a year to run the farm because your great granddaddy, my great granddaddy, wasn't able to really do it. You do know that the genesis of that was the fact that he was gassed in the trenches in France in World War One, right?
I think Granddad told me that one time.
Yeah, so my granddaddy, your great granddaddy, was actually born in 1895.
That's crazy to think about.
In World War One, and was gassed, and he couldn't do the work. So he had to go in and actually work and quit school, and then he had to go back to school and finish up.
Isn't it amazing?
He said the one thing that got him to go back is when he quit the first time, the principal sat him down and gave him a big lecture. If you quit now, you're never coming back. You can't quit now. He says, so every time I thought about quitting, I was like, I'm not going to let him win. I'll show him. And so he went back.
And I mean, he definitely made something of himself. He did quite well.
Yeah, not too bad but I think how different life is just in the 90 years that he's been around, coming from a house with no electricity, no indoor plumbing, plowing your field with a mule, and picking the cotton by hand, which they still did. My Aunt Julia apparently was the king or queen of picking cotton on our farm. And
then posting on Facebook years later.
And now he's sitting with an iPhone, living, and all the things, the difference in cars and planes, and
well, I mean, it's just weird, back when they had that, Model A still there, or was it Model T, right? It was a Model T, not Model A, right?
No, it was an A.
Hey, it was Model, okay, Model A. Yeah, when they had that out there, at the same time having like a new Nissan or whatever, like that's kind of a crazy jump, and it really is. It makes me, it really does, when he talks about some of that stuff, it makes me think, wow, okay, what am I going to see by the time I'm old? Unfortunately, I think we might hit a bit of a dark age and we'll regress a bit. Instead, I'll be like Uhtred in the Last Kingdom series going like, these Romans, they must have been amazing for creating such things. At least I feel like that's what Junior will be like.
I think you might.
But hey, Junior, I am James, son of James.
Oh man, we're setting him up.
Yeah, unfortunately, I guess he can't say who was also named son of James, or whose father was also named son of James. It'll be whose middle name was James.
Who's to tell the whole story.
Whose grandfather name was James. I got to push him to name his first kid James.
Girl or boy, doesn't matter.
Yeah, right? Hey, listen, they can name him anything these days, apparently.
We'll just wait till they decide.
Listen, if you can be named Stacy, I think you can name a girl James. You know how many times growing up I would get a phone call going, can I speak to Jennifer Barnes or her partner?
Well, the great thing back when spam calls were more prevalent than they are today, because now my phone blocks them for me. But I would answer and they would ask to speak to Stacy, and I would say, well, she's not here. Can I take the message? They would accept it every time.
The funny thing is like growing up, the only other Stacy at our school was a guy, so I never even considered it was a girl's name.
I remember him.
Yeah. I remember he was good at baseball.
Yeah. And he was out there fighting the good fight for all of us guys with girl names.
I always love the fact of he went straight with the bald look because of Michael Jordan. Like he was in elementary school, just clean shaven because he wanted to be like Michael Jordan. Yeah, that was some interesting times.
He was a little better than Jordan on the baseball diamond.
Yeah, I have no idea what he went on to do, but I remember he always said he wanted to play baseball career-wise. I know we had a few people at our town who went and played in the minor leagues at the very least. Our next door neighbor.
I don't know that he faced a lot of curveballs, but he couldn't have hit a curveball any worse than Michael Jordan. So.
Well, listen, if I was one of the best batters around, when I was in Little League, then clearly we weren't facing the best competition.
You could have hit it to the next county over and still get thrown out at first because you're so slow.
Listen, when you're tall and lanky, it's a little more difficult.
That's what we're going with.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I am 6'5". All right, I can say that being tall and lanky as a kid was a struggle. I never realized how much taller I was than everyone else though until I look back at those pictures though. I didn't realize that wow, I was a full head taller than everyone, while being a full year or two younger than everyone.
Well, the video of the kids playing together, kind of rolling around on the floor. Sarah is about as tall as James is right now. They look almost like twins instead of being 2 years apart.
Well, he's going to be. So right now he's on the upper side of average. So I assume he'll probably be 5'10", 5'11". He'll probably be about your height, to be honest, right at 6 or so. If you're wearing shoes, 6 foot tall. So
he'll be a real man's height. Then that'll be good.
As long as he's over 5'10", he'll be okay, right? Sarah, she'll probably be like Mom, also 6 foot tall, but of course that being tall for a girl. So, because she is on the taller side. Well, meanwhile, I'm the strange one in the family for sure. The only other people in our family who are even remotely my height are people who married in.
Well, back in 92, 93, we had a really tall mailman, I guess. I don't know what might have been going on.
Listen, with the comments I get of saying, well, this is a great show, you talking to your future self. Or how many times I'd walk into work and talk to someone and hear someone yell, "Hey, Stacy, can you come over here for a moment?" Now that I'm bald, that really shows, I think. You got more hair than me. Telling you, just shave it all off. Just go straight shave.
Your mom doesn't. She doesn't like that.
It's more upkeep. I'll be honest. It's way more upkeep having a shaved head than when I had hair. It was much quicker for me just to try to pull off a comb over than it is for me to shave my head every couple of days.
With it is like this, every couple of weeks I buzz it. It's not that hard, and then your mom comes and just cleans up the back for me.
Hey, that's how I started getting a shaved head, was Cat cleaning up the back and going a bit too tight. However, I much prefer the bald look. Even though, I just wish I could grow a better beard. That would be a little bit nicer.
Yeah, that's that's maybe one more piece of evidence that we're probably related for real.
Hey, what, the TRT hasn't helped with your beard growth yet?
No, there's some things that just I think are beyond help at this point.
Well, I know there's a lot of people out there who take steroids for the sheer purpose of getting a deeper voice and growing a beard, so maybe it'll hit.
I didn't even think about the deeper voice.
Well, if you take, I don't think it happens with like standard TRT and standard like steroids, but if you take like HGH and things like that, it does make your voice a lot deeper. I think standard steroids still technically do, but to a much minor degree. But like for women, if they take stuff like D-ball and stuff like that, like they start getting that deep voice. They have to take stuff like Anavar, which is less prone to doing that sort of stuff, but it still can, obviously.
So when I might have told you this, but when I was walking through Mexico with Karen and David, there's nothing but like dentist and pharmacy, dentist and pharmacy, dentist and pharmacy. And when you go by the pharmacy, they're calling out the drugs that they think that you're going to want. And so, David's pretty ripped, and he was in the front, so he'd go by, and they were calling out HGH, D-ball. They were calling out all these steroids, and then when I'd get there, they'd go Ozempic.
You're nowhere even close to needing that.
But that's exactly every time they told me Ozempic.
Did you see the studies come up that like it's probably really bad to take Ozempic? Like already there's stuff on like TV commercials saying if you've been injured because of Ozempic, call this number. It's like normally that doesn't happen until like 40 years later.
That doesn't mean it's bad. That just means there's a bunch of ambulance chasers out there trying to.
Oh, come on. I think it works by literally numbing your stomach. Like that can't be safe. Again, when all you have to do is do this, you take your food or you take your spoon and just go. Done. There you go. You're losing weight already. Congratulations.
So you're telling me I should not take my Mexican Ozempic?
Well, I mean, it's from Mexico. I might have some good stuff in it too, so who knows?
But no, seriously, dude. Every time I'd go by, they were hollering out the different drugs. I just assumed, because I'm not fat, so I just assumed that they looked at me and said, I bet that dude's got diabetes.
I'm surprised they won't be calling out steroids. You're at that age group where it'll be like, hey, get your testosterone back. Come on. I've already said once I hit 40, I'm probably going to be looking into it. That's like right at that age where you start.
Keep a track on your numbers. Hormones are important.
If I had some extra cash, I probably would go get a blood test just to see where they're at, just to check. But man, we everything, the Bidenomics, man, it's been something. And it's funny, we make good money compared to a lot of people we know. We make good money, but I mean, we were getting by off me making just 40 grand a year, no problem, like at all. And our big expenses have not changed too much really since then. Like, yeah, our rent is higher, but it's not tremendously higher to warrant it. Like, it's strictly the food cost and the price of fuel and things like that. That's all that's killing us right now.
The food costs are just insane, and the things that Biden says to downplay it are just absolutely ridiculous. I remember. I'll tell you what. I don't know what's going on in Texas with meat prices, but Jim is always sending me what he's paying for meats.
Yeah,
he's getting deals on pork butts at 88 cents a pound.
Wow.
Crab legs at like $5 a pound.
Is he going down to Mexico?
Brisket for almost nothing. It's like, dude, this is. Will you just buy it and vacuum seal it and send it to me?
It'll probably be cheaper than buying it from the store.
The meat prices that he's showing me are just crazy good.
Meanwhile, over here, like to buy a week's worth of meat is like $50. Like it's crazy expensive, right? I mean, I remember when I used to sit there, I used to tell people this, like, because people used to say, "Oh, it's too expensive to eat healthy." I used to say, "What are you talking about? For $20, you can get all of your breakfast, lunches, and dinners for a week. For $20 is what I used to be able to do. I would get a big thing of chicken for like $10, a thing of eggs for like $1, because a dozen eggs used to be like 95